Jasper Kane's body lay on the ground, blood pooling around him. After a few seconds of silence, the crowd erupted in cheers. Jasper Kane was dead, killed by Willa Shaw's hand. Leo watched from a distance, a small smile playing on his lips. With that, his $20 bet was settled. Dylan, of course, had disapproved of the whole idea, but when had Willa ever listened to him? She was at that rebellious age, and with Leo's encouragement, the two of them had simply ordered Marco to drive them here. Willa walked back silently and handed the gun to Leo. "I'm going to focus on my studies from now on," she said softly. "I won't think about killing people anymore." Leo raised an eyebrow, surprised. He hadn't expected a girl her age to have such strong self-control. In his original plan, if Willa had truly wanted to walk this path, he would have handed her over to Julia Reed. After all, Willa's personality was a good fit for the Umbra. But now it seemed her obsession had been solely about revenge. With her vengeance complete, she would probably go back to being a cheerful, outgoing girl once she returned to Ethelberg. Right? At least, that's what Leo thought. Just then, the system's notification chimed in his mind. Ping. After thorough analysis, the system has determined that the host's actions have successfully guided Willa Shaw onto the right path. Special mission complete. Congratulations, host. You have received 2 skill upgrade opportunities. Please select the skills you wish to upgrade. Hearing this, Leo scoffed internally. What's this? Weren't you just warning me a minute ago? How was the mission suddenly a success? Huh? System? You gonna answer me? If you're trash, just practice more. How could a garbage system like you possibly comprehend the thoughts of this host? Please select the skills you wish to upgrade. Faced with Leo's mockery, the system completely ignored its previous warnings, acting as if it had never spoken. Seeing the system play dead, Leo didn't waste any more breath and began to think carefully. 2 upgrade opportunities. Which skills should he use them on? Enhanced Physiology is only at the advanced tier. If I upgrade it, it'll become Apex tier. As for the other one, what should I choose? Leo was torn. He wanted to upgrade Animal Affinity. After all, it had been indispensable in getting him this far. But he was worried the upgrade would be useless, a complete waste. Whatever. I'll upgrade Enhanced Physiology first. Just as Leo was about to speak, a sudden commotion broke the silence, interrupting his thoughts. Quick, run. There's a monster. It's eating people. It's eating someone. Hearing their cries, Leo frowned and looked in the direction of the panic. A figure, drenched in blood and shambling unsteadily. Something not quite human, not quite ghost, was heading toward them. If Gideon and his team were still here, they would have instantly recognized it as the asset that had escaped from the city outskirts. The asset was scanning its surroundings when it suddenly stopped. Its head twisted, and its grotesque face contorted into a terrifying smile as it locked onto Leo. Now, tasty, now. People scattered in every direction. Frowning, Leo reached out and pulled Willa behind him. In an instant, only a handful of people remained, with a few bolder ones hiding in corners, filming with their phones. Leo's eyes were fixed on the monster. Without turning, he spoke to Willa. Get in the car. Willa nodded, immediately scrambling into the vehicle and locking the doors. Leo pulled the black baton from his waist and looked at the asset. You seem a little different from the others, he said quietly. Now, tasty. Tasty? What do you think I am? A 5-star steak dinner. Leo twirled the baton lightly, casually walking toward the creature. Regardless, you need to take a long nap. As the words left his lips, Leo exploded into motion, rushing the asset. He sidestepped, aimed the baton at the back of its neck, and swung down hard. However, the expected impact never came. The asset twisted its body into a deeply unnatural position, dodging the blow and quickly creating distance between them. Black baton. Dangerous. It rasped, its eyes glued to the weapon in Leo's hand. Leo's expression instantly turned grave. This thing, it seems more rational, did evolve this quickly. As he pondered, the asset suddenly charged him. Leo's pupils constricted. So fast. Cursing internally, he narrowly dodged the attack and immediately shouted in his mind. System, upgrade, enhanced physiology. Now, ping. Host is using a skill upgrade opportunity. Skill upgrading. Hurry the hell up. I'm in the middle of a fight. Leo roared as he saw the asset lunging at him again. In the car, Marco saw the asset's claws about to slash into Leo, who seemed to be frozen in place, completely unresponsive. He yelled in panic. Mister, Leo, watch out. Skill upgrade successful. Congratulations, host. You have acquired the Apex tier skill, Transcendent. The moment the system's notification sounded, Leo's body seized. He felt a power, far more immense than before, surging through him. Acting on pure instinct as the asset closed in, Leo snapped his leg up in a powerful kick. Bang! The asset shot backward like a cannonball, flying dozens of feet before slamming into a nearby wall, which crumbled on impact. Holy crap, it's that strong. Leo was stunned. Was he even human anymore? This was almost on the level of some heaven splitter attack. Okay, maybe not that strong, but it was still absurd. Had he really become transcendent? Something beyond human? Now, terrifying. From a distance, the asset crawled out of the rubble, looking at Leo with something akin to fear. Leo, however, just grinned. He holstered his baton and watched the asset with keen interest. Since you're an asset, it only makes sense for you to be my test subject, right? Leo cracked his neck and flexed his wrists, his gaze turning razor-sharp. All right, class is in session with Professor Evans. Today's experiment is, without using a cheap shot, how long can you last before I beat you to death? Holy shit, is that a person? He kicked that monster that far. Is this a movie shoot or something? A movie? Do the smell of blood and all those dead bodies look like props to you? Didn't someone just say they're gonna find Leo Evans and beat him up? Where'd they go? Dude, chill, I was just kidding. At that moment, the few brave souls who had dared to remain witnessed Leo send the monster flying with a single kick. From inside the car, Marco's eyes were wide as saucers, staring blankly at Leo. Mister, now, is a badass. He couldn't think of any other words to describe what he was seeing. His eyes were filled with pure worship. Come on, big guy, Leo said with a confident smile, beckoning to the monster with one finger. Someone like you is finally worthy of being my opponent. He had completely forgotten how he'd been running for his life just moments before. All he knew was that he now felt terrifyingly strong. Now, dangerous. The monster rasped. It eyed Leo cautiously, not charging forward as it had before. I was going to fight you as a normal person, Leo said, taking a slow step toward it. But since you decided to play dirty and ambush me, don't blame me for getting serious. I'm done pretending. The gloves are off. Leo spread his hands, sinking into a fighting stance. This power of mine was forged through countless days and nights of hard training, he declared dramatically. You shortcuts who rely on gene serums with your hollow strength are worlds apart from someone like me who built his foundation from the ground up. He then shot off the ground, moving at a speed invisible to the naked eye as he closed in on the monster. At the same time, Leo roared in his mind, System, give me the cheats. Gale Force, activate. Instantly, as Leo neared the monster, his speed exploded yet again. The combination of Transcendent and Gale Force pushed his power to another level. This was what you called stacking buffs. Holy crap, Leo suddenly shouted. With a whoosh, his silhouette shot past the monster and slammed into a wall, then another, and another, crashing through several in a row. Rumble, dust, and debris filled the air. Everyone froze. The asset. Weren't you supposed to hit me? What kind of move was that? It barely had any rational thought to begin with. Leo's stunt had completely scrambled its circuits. Oof, Leo stood up, clutching his back. His face was flushed with embarrassment. He lost big time on that one. Stacking the buffs had pushed his speed to a level he couldn't control, and he hadn't had time to adapt. To put it simply, he couldn't stop, and the result was tragic. Ahem. Leo coughed, emerging from the dust cloud with a grave expression. I didn't expect a monster like you to be able to dodge my attack. You have some skill. The asset. It tilted its head, a series of giant question marks appearing above it. Did I even move? Oomph. The real fight starts now. This time, Leo didn't stack his buffs. For one, he couldn't adapt to the speed. For another, he'd felt a massive drain of energy in that split second. It was powerful, but it didn't last. 3 minutes, max, and he'd be gassed. Just then, the system's voice rang out in his mind again. Ping. The host has one remaining skill upgrade opportunity. Please make a selection soon. If the host does not decide, the system will randomly select one of the host skills for an upgrade. Please make a selection. Countdown commencing in 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8. Holy crap. You son of a bitch. You never mentioned that condition before. Leo cursed. Seeing the countdown nearing 0, he yelled, I choose animal. Roar. Before he could finish, the asset roared and lunged at him. It had seen that, for a split second, Leo had been distracted. This was its chance. It charged without hesitation, its claws slashing through the air. Seeing this, Leo had to abandon the skill upgrade. He quickly stacked his buffs again to dodge the attack. 3, 2, 1. Countdown complete. As the host did not make a selection, This skill upgrade will be chosen randomly. Random skill upgrade in progress. System, you mother. Leo raged. You are violating the will of this innocent young man. I clearly said I was upgrading animal affinity. Cancel the random selection. Now, skill upgrade complete. Congratulations, host. The skill Dirty Pickpocket has been successfully upgraded, granting the Apex tier skill. Manifest Acquisition. Manifest my ass. System, was this your endgame all along? I don't want this piece of crap. Change it back. Leo fumed. I suspected it from the start. You're not a proper system. I'm going to expose you to the entire system community. You'll be too ashamed to show your face again. Just then, the system's voice returned, providing an explanation for the new skill. Manifest Acquisition, an upgraded version of Dirty Pickpocket. You can now always steal the item you desire, with no limit on the number of uses. Leo paused for a second, then roared in frustration. That's still just stealing. All you did was remove the limit. You call that an Apex tier skill? Roar. At that moment, the asset charged again, fueling Leo's rage. This is all your fault. You made me waste a precious upgrade. Leo gritted his teeth, glaring at the oncoming monster. If I don't kill you today, my name isn't Leo Evans. As the asset's claws swiped toward him, Leo grabbed its arm, clamping down with an iron grip. You like swinging those claws, huh? Leo said in a low voice. Then you don't need them anymore. He was about to apply force and tear the arm off when the asset let out a pained shriek and stumbled back. The arm Leo had been holding was now severed, dark red blood pouring from the stump. Leo looked down at the detached arm in his hand, momentarily stunned. He was pretty sure he hadn't even applied any pressure yet, and the asset hadn't made any move to sever its own limb. So how did the arm just break off? Blinking, Leo's eyes shot wide as a possibility struck him. Manifest Acquisition. Just now, the instant the thought of breaking its arm had crossed his mind, the asset's arm had simply detached for no reason. No way. Leo's mouth twitched as he stared at the severed limb, his mind reeling. System, you call this stealing? System, was that really the effect of Manifest Acquisition? Leo asked internally, looking at the arm with a hint of dread. As usual, the system offered no reply, as if it had gone offline. Ugh. In the distance, the asset clutched the stump of its arm, whimpering in pain. The dark red blood flowed freely, showing no signs of stopping. Now, dangerous. Escape. It kept backing away, looking at Leo with terror. It was already planning its retreat, but there was no way Leo was letting it get away. He still had a lot of things he wanted to test on it. His speed exploded again. In a flash, before the asset could react, Leo was right beside it. Slap. He grabbed its other arm. This time, he didn't apply any force. Instead, he just thought, I want to steal your arm. I want to steal your arm. In the next second, the asset's other arm detached, just as inexplicably. This time, the asset was truly terrified. Now armless, it scrambled away from Leo on its uncoordinated legs, fleeing without a second glance. Leo stared at the second severed arm, his mind completely blown. This skill is too broken. Can you even call this stealing? This is straight-up robbery. And that was just an arm. What if I wanted to steal its head? Does that mean I can kill anyone I touch? Leo was in a state of shock. This was a god-tier skill. System, you're a genius. I'm going to make sure you're the talk of the system community. You are my god. Leo reflexively used his passive doppelganger skill, showering the system with a torrent of praise. What? You mentioned animal affinity? What's that garbage? I wouldn't even look at it if you left it on the sidewalk. Trying to run? Leo's eyes narrowed as he watched the fleeing asset. A villainous grin spread across his face as he rubbed his hands together. Ha ha ha. The phantom thief Leo has arrived. With a strange cry, Leo shot after the asset. Hearing the noise, the creature glanced back, and a look of sheer terror crossed its face. It tried to run even faster. If it could speak clearly, it would probably be screaming, "Stay away from me." But it was too late. With his buff stacked, Leo's speed could only be described as terrifying. In a matter of seconds, he caught up to the asset and gently placed a hand on its head. Leo whispered, "I've stolen your head." The words hung in the air, and the asset was instantly decapitated, its body toppling forward. "Looks like there's a big difference between you and a zombie," Leo remarked casually, looking at the dead asset. "In the movies, they can still move without a head. You've still got a long way to go." With that, he tossed the head to the ground and turned to shout at the car. "Marco, get the Umbra in here to clean up the battlefield." Before Marco could even react, a group of figures in black emerged from the shadows. It was the Umbra. Dragon 3 strode up to Leo and spoke calmly. Mr. Leo, the phones of everyone who was recording have been dealt with. No footage of the battle will get out. Leo raised an eyebrow. He was surprised to hear Dragon 3 call him Mr. Lao. The guy used to just call him Leo. As for the people filming, Leo honestly didn't care that much. With things like assets appearing, no matter how ridiculously he behaved, it was still plausible, right? The Umbra agents cleaning up the scene were all stealing glances at Leo. The fight had left a deep impression on them. Leo's mouth twitched. Okay, maybe he'd been a little over the top. Find out where this asset came from, Leo said to Dragon 3. Are these things just running around all over the place now? Dragon 3 replied immediately. We've already confirmed it. This asset is the one the NYC coalition was hiding on the outskirts of the city. No wonder. So was that one. Leo nodded, then clapped Dragon 3 on the shoulder. Thanks for your hard work. I'm heading back now. With that, Leo turned and got into Marco's car. Ignoring Willa's strange look, he said flatly, Let's go. Back to the Crofts. You got it, Mr. Lao. Marco replied, lightly stepping on the gas and heading for the Croft estate. 2 hours later, on a high-speed train to New York City, Sterling sat by the window, reading a message on his phone. The asset that escaped the outskirts has been eliminated by Leo Evans. Evans displayed power far beyond what was previously observed. He did not use the Black Baton. Preliminary assessment. Evans possesses the strength and means to eliminate an asset single-handedly. Reading the message, Sterling let out a soft laugh. Well, that's unexpected. He had left Principal Chapman behind specifically as a precaution against the missing asset. He never thought that, just a short while after his departure, Leo would take care of it himself. It's just as I thought. We need to get Leo to New York, Sterling murmured, dealing with those freakish assets. I can't do it alone. Just then, an announcement came over the train's speakers. Dear passengers, we are now arriving at New York City. Passengers disembarking, please prepare to exit the train. Hearing the announcement, Sterling stood up and looked around, shaking his head with a wry smile. He was the only person in his car. Right. Who will be taking a train to New York late on New Year's Eve? On a day for family reunions, here I am, all alone. It's pretty pathetic when you think about it. Soon, the train pulled into the station. Sterling disembarked, carrying a small suitcase to the exit. He paused at the gate, took a deep breath, and looked at the familiar skyline. New York City. He was back. Honk honk. The sudden sound of a car horn drew his attention. He turned to see a taxi parked by the curb, its window slowly rolling down. Where to, pal? Sterling got a clear look at the driver's face and froze for a second. Then, a smile spread across his face. He walked over, opened the back door of the cab, and got in. Get in the front. You really think I'm your chauffeur? The man said, crossing his arms with an expression that said, I'm not moving until you switch seats. Sterling chuckled helplessly, got out, and moved to the front passenger seat. Where to? Caldwell's Crossing. That's a pretty long haul. It's $10 just to start the meter. Seeing Sterling nod resignedly, the man lightly pressed the gas, and the taxi pulled away from the station. Just get in for Viridian? You knew that, so why ask? Sterling said coolly. If you didn't know my itinerary, would you have been waiting for me at the station? TSK, is that any way to talk to the man who saved your life? The driver said, annoyed. Do you have any idea that because I broke you out, I'm still wanted by those bastards? As if you wouldn't be wanted even if you hadn't saved me, Sterling retorted. The driver kept one hand on the wheel and flipped Sterling off with the other. So, why are you going to Caldwell's Crossing? The driver asked. I'm telling you now, the Caldwells have a warrant out for me too. I can only drop you at the foot of the mountain. Sterling frowned slightly. How did you manage to piss off the Caldwells? He remembered the Caldwell family as being very easygoing, a well-known family of peacekeepers who never got involved in conflicts. How had a family like that started hunting this guy? I just asked them for a little something, the man said with a shrug. Call themselves a great family, but they're so stingy. They put out a warrant over a stupid bracelet. A bracelet? Sterling paused, then it clicked. The bracelet you took. It wasn't the Caldwell family heirloom, was it? Heirloom? That crappy red bracelet? The man asked, looking puzzled. No way. That thing could be an heirloom? I wasn't really thinking about it. My wife said it looked nice and would make a good gift for our future daughter-in-law. So I went to ask for it. Seems like the Caldwells are pretty attached to that thing. Sterling's mouth twitched. He gave the man a thumbs up. You know what? Don't drop me at the foot of the mountain. A little farther would be better, Sterling said wearily. I'm worried the Caldwells might mistake me for your accomplice. That would complicate things for me. Come on. I promise to take you to the foot of the mountain. That's my professional integrity as a taxi driver. Oh, really? Then why are you taking the long way? You think I don't know my way around New York? Sterling scoffed, pointing at the meter. Look where that thing's at already. We've only gone a few miles. How is the fare already $1,000? You think I'm an idiot? You've been away from New York for too long. You don't know the situation. All the taxis in the city charge this much now, the man said shamelessly. Sterling was about to argue when the man cut him off. So, what are you really going to Caldwell's Crossing for? Sterling swallowed the insults he was about to unleash and stared straight ahead. Their patriarch owed me a favor from way back. It's time to cash it in. Could that favor possibly? No. Sterling cut him off. Don't even think about it. Solve the bracelet problem yourself. Tisich, stingy, the man muttered. In that instant, the meter jumped again, soaring toward $10,000. Seeing this, Sterling's face darkened. That's enough. I don't have that kind of money for a taxi fare. No problem. I take credit cards. I don't have one of those either. An IOU works too, the man said with a grin. You wouldn't want the world to know that the great Sterling skipped out on a taxi fare, would you? Sterling felt a pang of regret. What possessed him to get into this guy's car? So, are the assets in New York under control now? Sterling asked, changing the subject. The major families have teamed up and mostly contained them, but the man leaned in and lowered his voice with a smirk. The one asset that orchestrated this whole thing still hasn't been found. It's basically confirmed now that this guy is a special type of asset. Maybe there was some kind of accident during the family's research, and it created this monster with powerful cognitive abilities. On the surface, it's practically indistinguishable from a normal human. Its behavior patterns are more or less the same. It can blend perfectly into normal society. So, all the families are panicking. They can't find it, and they have no idea what it's planning. Hearing this, Sterling's expression grew grave. So you're saying anyone on this street could be it? Exactly. Pretty scary, right? The man shook his head with a sigh. That Dr. Mark's really left behind one hell of a legacy for the world. Sterling nodded, then said through gritted teeth, You can sigh all you want, but can you please make that damn meter stop jumping? If you don't, I'm getting out. There you go again, getting all worked up, the man said calmly. I told you, this is how taxis are in New York. You keep saying the fare is expensive, but have you ever stopped to think after all these years if you've been working hard enough, if your salary has gone up? Sterling clenched his fists, closed his eyes, and decided to ignore the man's nonsense. Seeing this, the driver fell silent, but the numbers on the meter began to spin even faster. Soon, the taxi left the city and wound its way through rugged mountain roads until it reached the base of a mountain. A long staircase led from the entrance all the way to the summit. Looking up, you could see a simple wooden gate with 3 words carved into it. Caldwell's Crossing. All right, sir, we've arrived at your destination, the man said, smiling and pointing at the meter. The fare comes to $108,700. But since it's New Year's Eve, just make it an even $100,000. Card or cash? Sterling stared at him in silence. The entire trip was 20 miles at most, and he wanted to charge $100,000? Did he really take Sterling for a fool? Hurry up, it won't be good if the Caldwells see me, the driver urged. Sterling sighed and pulled a wad of cash from his pocket. He counted out. $1,600. That's all I have on me. Not a penny more. Sterling tossed the bills at the driver and decisively got out of the car. If you want to spread rumors about me skipping a fare, go ahead. See who in New York would dare to believe you. With that, Sterling picked up his suitcase and began to climb the stairs, one step at a time, toward Caldwell's Crossing. The driver collected the bills and watched Sterling's retreating figure with a helpless smile. What a broke bastard. Should have known not to pick you up. He started the taxi and drove off into the distance. On the right side of his seat, the man reached over and flipped up his driver ID placard. The placard showed the man's photo, and next to it was his name. David Evans, Viridian City, the Croft Estate. Cheers! Everyone raised their glasses and clinked them together happily. However, the dining table held only a few meager dishes, and no one had even picked up their chopsticks. Kitchen, hurry it up. Get those woks fired up. Julia Reed shouted toward the back after downing a glass of wine. Then she turned to Kaylin Croft with a dissatisfied look. I told you to prepare the New Year's Eve dinner, but you wouldn't listen. Now look, we can't even get a hot meal. My dozens of Umbra agents are still waiting outside. Besides their table, the large courtyard was filled with over a dozen other tables, almost all occupied by members of the Umbra and the Croft family. Their tables were just as bare as the main one. Kaylin looked helpless. He hadn't expected so many people. The woks in the kitchen were practically flying, and they'd already cycled through several chefs whose arms had grown sore. Don't worry, Mr. Croft. Just then, Leo suddenly stood up and rolled up his sleeves. I'll go show you what I can do. Everyone, You can cook? Ava asked, her face full of doubt. She knew Leo's cooking skills. They were only a tiny bit better than her own. And this wasn't just any meal. It was a New Year's Eve feast for several hundred people. If he can cook, I'll chop off my head and let him use it as a soccer ball, Ethan scoffed. He had tasted Leo's cooking back in high school. It was, let's just say, just good enough to make you feel terrible, but not bad enough to send you to the hospital. Leo shot him a disdainful look. Ethan, old friend, haven't you ever heard that you should see a person in a new light after just 3 days apart? Go wash your head and wait. I'll be back for a game of soccer later. With that, Leo walked toward the kitchen alone. Everyone else chuckled, assuming he was just going to take a look. But a few moments later, one of the Croft family chefs came running out in a panic. Papatriarf. What's the emergency? Leo's not cooking with explosives, is he? Kalen asked, suddenly nervous. And no, it's Mr. Lau. He's taken over almost the entire kitchen by himself. We can't even get a hand in. What did you say? Everyone stood up and rushed toward the kitchen. When they arrived, they were met with a jaw-dropping sight. There was Leo, single-handedly manning an enormous wok, flipping ingredients with a giant spatula. The aroma wafting out made everyone swallow hard. As soon as Mr. Leo arrived, he took over the wok that usually takes several of us to handle. The chef explained hurriedly. Not only that, he's simmering soup, making sweet and sour pork, and now he's stir-frying kung pao chicken. All at the same time. He's basically doing the work of a dozen of us. And not only is his efficiency much higher, but the taste of the food rivals that of a master chef. It's unheard of. They didn't need him to tell them. The fragrant aroma had already won them over. Ethan and Ava kept rubbing their eyes, refusing to believe what they were seeing. Seriously, man? You actually know how to do this? Leo, while stir-frying, noticed their expressions and a smirk played on his lips. A few hours ago, he certainly couldn't cook, but just a little while earlier, a system notification had sounded his mind. Ping. Congratulations, host, for successfully saving Viridian City and completing the mission. The last dawn of Viridian. Congratulations, host, you have been awarded all low-tier skills provided by this system. Congratulations, host, you have acquired the low-tier skill, Culinary Mastery. Congratulations, host, you have acquired the low-tier skill, Sleight of Hand. Congratulations, host, you have acquired the low-tier skill, Structural Engineering. Congratulations, host. The stream of notifications for various low-tier skills had left Leo stunned for a long time. After a while, the system finally delivered the last reward. Congratulations, host, you have acquired the Apex tier skill, High Explosive. What the hell is High Explosive? Leo had immediately asked. Explain it to me. Note, High Explosive is a companion skill to Gale Force. Now, while in the Gale Force state, the destructive power of firearms and explosive ordnance used by the host will be doubled. Whoa, so it's basically a powerful buff. That is a correct interpretation. Leo nodded. He got it. From now on, one grenade would have the power of 2. A single bullet would have the impact of 2. He hadn't tested its practical application yet, but he figured it wouldn't be too shabby. What did disappoint him was the lack of a driving mastery skill. When he asked the system, the answer he got was, this system does not archive such garbage skills. In the system's eyes, driving a car didn't even qualify as a low-tier skill, so it wasn't included. No matter how much Leo protested, the system ignored him. And now, the reason he could command the kitchen with such skill was all thanks to the newly acquired culinary mastery. Hang tight, everyone. The kung pao chicken and sweet and sour pork will be ready in a minute. Leo called out while expertly flipping the massive wok. And Ethan, get your head washed. I don't want to get my shoes dirty when I kick it later. Ethan's mouth twitched. He was starting to regret his earlier comment. Ava's nose wrinkled as she took in the delicious smells, her appetite soaring. Her eyes sparkled as she watched Leo, thinking, I can make this guy cook for me every day from now on. Julia Reed looked at Leo with immense satisfaction. A son-in-law like him was a rare find. Our Ava has such good taste. Julian also nodded in approval. It seemed he wouldn't have to worry about Ava's meals in the future. Leo, I want sweet and sour ribs too. Ava called out pitifully. Leo looked up, and upon seeing her expression, he immediately nodded. I'll make them for you right away. Seeing this, Dylan tried to mimic Ava's expression. Leo, old buddy, I want some braised pork belly. Get lost. You look like braised pork belly. Maybe I'll stew you next. Leo shot back without hesitation. Ava is my wife. Who the hell are you to butt in? Ava smiled in satisfaction and made a heart shape with her hands at Leo. He returned the gesture. The rest of them suddenly felt like they were already full. Ethan, in particular, wanted to call a helicopter and fly back to Lucia Shang immediately. Wow, this smells amazing. At the dinner table, Ava gazed at the feast Leo had prepared and let out a heartfelt sigh. The others were already digging in frantically, too busy eating to speak. Ethan was stuffing his face, completely ignoring his earlier bet with Leo. Dylan's mouth was full as he reached his chopsticks toward the sweet and sour ribs. Clack! His chopsticks were knocked aside by Leo's. Dylan, you're on a diet. You can't eat this, Leo said flatly. Then he picked up the entire plate of ribs and placed it in front of Ava. Ava, you have this, Leo said with a smile. Ava blushed, picked up a rib, and began nibbling on it delicately. Dylan shot Leo a venomous look and flipped him the middle finger. Yeah, you're the only one with a girlfriend, right? Bullying the single guy. I'm going right back to Ethelberg and finding Chloe Meng. He had no idea, however, that Leo and Ava were planning to get their marriage license as soon as they returned to Ethelberg. Even if he showed up with Chloe then, he'd only be humiliating himself. As for Ava, the moment she took her first bite of the rib, her eyes lit up. So delicious. She already loved sweet and sour ribs, but the dish Leo had made with his culinary mastery skill was at a master chef's level. It completely captured her stomach. Sure enough, after that first piece, Ava couldn't stop. Normally careful about her figure, tonight she made a rare exception and ate 2 large bowls of rice. Ava gently rubbed her stomach, a little troubled. She couldn't let this guy cook anymore. If she ate like this every day, she'd get fat. Old man Croft, when are you coming back to Ethelberg with us? Julia asked between bites. At her words, Kaelin hadn't even spoken when Corbin and Raina Croft froze mid-bite. Go to Ethelberg? The siblings both looked at their father. Kaelin, ever the veteran, met their gazes calmly. He wiped his mouth with a napkin and said coolly, the feng shui in Viridian isn't great. So after careful consideration, I've decided to move the Croft family to Ethelberg. The Croft siblings blinked but said nothing, just staring silently at their father. Leo gave him a mental thumbs up. To come up with an excuse like bad feng shui. Only the head of the Croft family could say something like that with a straight face. Kaelin turned to Julia. When are you all heading back? We'll need to prepare in advance. Julia turned and looked at Leo. Leo paused. Why are you looking at me? After a moment of thought, he said, how about the day after tomorrow? That'll give Mr. Croft and his family some time to prepare. And we can take these 2 days to have some fun. We came all the way to Viridian and haven't even had a chance to look around. Everyone gave him a strange look. You call this not looking around? Which part of Viridian haven't you blown up? The first day you were here, the Black Dragon crew got blown up. The second day, the NYC coalition got blown up. The main cartel was bombed from start to finish. Not a single day of peace. The Croft estate was pretty much blasted to bits after that big battle. Nothing was spared. You've wrecked almost everything. That's right. I've spent every new year of my life in Ethelberg, Ava said, looking up at Leo. I don't even know what it's like here in Viridian. Leo immediately understood what she meant and smiled. Then shall we go for a walk? Ava nodded emphatically. And just like that, the two of them left everyone behind, changed their clothes, and walked out of the Croft estate hand in hand. Dylan and Ethan, not wanting to just go back to their rooms, decided to go out and find some fun together. The rest of the group did much the same. Those who wanted to go out went out, and those who wanted to rest stayed at the estate. There was one exception, Julian Reed. After everyone had left, Julian quietly dragged his suitcase outside, hailed a cab, and went straight to the central station. Phew! Once in the cab, Julian let out a long sigh of relief. Definitely not coming back this time. I have to get back to my vacation plans. I should probably head back to North Point first and get Silas to forge the rings Leo needs. Even though the Manjashaka is with Leo, Silas should have better materials. I'll figure something out then. And just like that, Julian slipped away. By the time Julia Reed realized he was gone and couldn't find him anywhere, it was already too late. Julian Reed. Julia stared at her phone, so angry she could spit blood. It seemed Julian had blocked her. You'd better hide from me for the rest of your life, or I'll tan your hide, she cursed viciously. She had wanted to properly reconnect with him, mother to son, after so many years apart. And now he'd just run off. How could she not be furious? Leo, is it okay for you to just walk around like this? Ava asked, holding his arm and looking up at him. Everyone in Viridian should recognize your face by now, right? Now that you mention it, that's a good point. Leo stopped in his tracks, finally realizing it. He was practically a celebrity in Viridian now. After he had live-streamed himself chewing them all out, there were probably only 3 people the citizens of Viridian wanted to beat up most: Sterling, Jasper Kane, and Leo Evans. Now, Jasper Kane was dead, Sterling had fled, leaving only Leo still in the city. To avoid trouble, Leo pulled out his special operations black face mask and put it on. Ava giggled. Like this, I feel like I'm on a secret date with a famous celebrity. Leo looked at her helplessly and gently tapped her on the forehead. If I get caught, do you think you'll get off easy? Hearing that, Ava stuck out her tongue playfully. True. If Leo's identity was exposed, she would definitely be seen as his accomplice and hated by the people of Viridian. At that thought, Ava stood on her tiptoes and pulled the hood of Leo's jacket up over his head. Hee, this is safer, she said mischievously. I can't see, Leo protested. The hood on this jacket was big, and when he wore it, it covered his eyes. Oh, it's fine. I'll lead you. You won't get lost. Ava took his hand and happily started walking forward. It was clear she was in a great mood. Leo and Ava walked down the street outside the Croft estate and turned onto a bustling, brightly lit corner. Wow! Ava's lips parted slightly, her face filled with delighted surprise. The street before them was a blaze of light, with lanterns of all sizes hanging everywhere. The constant chatter of the crowd filled the air, creating a rich, festive New Year's atmosphere. Leo, Ethelberg is never this lively during the New Year, is it? Ava asked. No, Ethelberg doesn't have much of a festive spirit. It's usually just a New Year's Eve dinner. They don't even let you set off fireworks, Leo replied. As for fireworks, that was a non-issue in Viridian. If bombs are going off daily, a few firecrackers were nothing. Let's go. Let's go check it out, Ava said excitedly. Leo let her pull him along. I can't even see the road. How am I supposed to walk? Can't you beat monsters like the assets? Ava sat puzzled. How can you not see the road now? Leo's mouth twitched. His skills weren't always active. Both Transcendent and Gale Force consumed a lot of stamina. This garbage system really should have given him some passive skills. Hey, you guys are here too? Suddenly, Ethan's voice cut in. They turned to see Ethan and Dylan, their arms so full of stuffed animals they could barely see over them. What have you two been? Oh, there's a balloon popping stall over there. You win dolls for throwing darts, so I went and restocked, Ethan said matter-of-factly. Hearing this, Leo and Ava looked at him with contempt. What a shameless bastard. Using your knife-throwing skills to play a dart game? That was just bullying honest people. The owner didn't try to fight you? Leo asked, eyeing the mountain of plushies. It looked like they had cleaned out every single prize. Did they want the poor man to cry himself to death on New Year's Eve? Am I that kind of person? Ethan scoffed. I compensated him afterward. I wasn't going to just take his stuff for free. Leo nodded. At least he had some conscience. Just then, Ava tugged on Leo's sleeve. He turned to see her shoulders shaking, trying to suppress her laughter. What's wrong? I'll look over there. Leo followed her finger, and his face immediately darkened. Not far away, someone had set up a stall with a sign that read, Smash in Evans Lemonade. Take out your anger on a lemon that represents Leo Evans, then suck him up and chew him to pieces. A long line of people snaked in front of the stall. Each person who stepped up grabbed a small mallet and furiously pulverized a lemon. Leo could faintly hear them cursing his name as they did it. Whoa, this guy's a genius, Ethan said, also noticing the scene. With so many people in Viridian hating you right now, he must be making a killing. With that, he and his pile of dolls headed toward the line. Hey, where are you going? Leo asked, his face grim. Isn't it obvious? I'm getting in line. Ethan called back. Smash in Evans Lemonade. This is probably a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I don't care how much it costs, I'm getting one. Hearing that, Dylan immediately followed him, and the two of them, dolls and all, joined the back of the queue. Ava looked on, also tempted. Leo's mouth twitched. You're not allowed to go, he whispered. You want to beat me up too? Oh, come on, it's just a lemon. It's not like they're really hitting you, Ava said, squeezing his hand and deploying her ultimate weapon. Besides, I'm festy. Please let me go buy one. She swayed his arm back and forth, her eyes full of longing. Leo took a deep breath. Fine, go ahead, he said wearily. As soon as he agreed, Ava's face lit up with a happy smile. She eagerly ran over and got in line behind Dylan. Leo stood with his arms crossed, glaring at the three of them. Just then, he heard two more familiar voices. Holy crap, Alex, you will not believe what I'm seeing. Smash in Evans Lemonade. How can you not be tempted by that? Leo's face grew even darker. He looked over and saw Kane and Alex Young. Without a moment's hesitation, the two of them ran and got in line behind Ava. Hey, Ava, what are you doing in line here? Where's Leo? Kane asked when he saw her. He's... Ava hesitated, wondering if she should tell them that Leo was standing right behind them, watching with murder in his eyes. Before she could decide, Leo walked up and hooked his arms around Kane's and Alex's necks. You two, looking for me? Leo's voice was a low growl. Funny, I was just about to ask you too. Why you're in this line? Hearing his tone, Kane immediately knew he was in trouble. Leo, let us quibble. Let us explain. I'm not listening. Leo tightened his grip and dragged them toward a small grove of trees in a nearby corner. A few minutes later, Leo returned, looking refreshed. Kane and Alex Young, however, had bruised and swollen faces and were too embarrassed to be seen. They quickly scurried away. Whack, whack, whack. When Leo returned, he saw Ava and the other two gleefully smashing lemons. The stall owner was even cheering them on. Yes, just like that. Imagine that lemon is Leo Evans and give it a good thrashing. At his encouragement, the three of them hammered even harder. Ethan, in particular, was hitting so hard the table was practically shaking apart. They were relieving their stress, but Leo's was maxing out. Very good. Ethan and Dylan, I've got you on my list now, Leo thought, gritting his teeth and adding them to his mental black book. What goes around comes around. As for Ava, he didn't bother. He couldn't. If he put her on his black book, the thing she'd be smashing might not be a lemon. Discretion is the better part of valor. He'd let Ava off the hook this time. Soon, their smash-in Evans lemonades were ready. Ava took a sip. It was actually pretty good. She offered it to Leo. You should try some. It's really tasty. Leo flatly refused. Try what? My own corpse? Leo, why the long face? Ava asked, looking at him unhappily. This is the first New Year's Eve we've spent together as a couple. Why aren't you smiling? Leo's mouth twitched. Maybe put down the lemonade first, then we can talk. When you were busy smashing that lemon, you didn't seem to care why I wasn't smiling. He was about to say something when his phone vibrated. He pulled it out, and both he and Ava froze. Professor Miller? Ava asked, confused. Why would he be calling you at a time like this? Don't tell me. You failed a final exam. The words failed exam sent a jolt through Leo. It's New Year's Eve. Don't say such unlucky things. Quick, knock on wood. Ava stuck out her tongue and turned away. She was joking, of course. With Leo's abilities, failing was out of the question. Although she had always suspected he cheated in his ethics class. Given his moral character, she couldn't see him passing that exam otherwise. Is it another math competition he wants me to sign up for? Leo wondered, cautiously answering the call. Hello, Professor Miller? You brat. Why did it take you so long to answer my call? Professor Miller's booming voice came through the phone. Are you out on a date with some other girl? Hearing that, Ava's head snapped back around, her eyes sharp as daggers as she stared at Leo. Some other girl? Leo felt a chill run down his spine. Professor, it's New Year's Eve. Don't go around spreading baseless rumors. I'm with Ava. There are no other girls. There aren't. Professor Miller sounded puzzled. Then I must have remembered wrong. Professor, don't you push it. Who did you remember? Do you have any idea your words nearly got your most precious student killed? Professor Miller, if there's nothing else, I'm going to hang up now. Leo said with a strained smile. Is this how you treat me after all I've done for you? You're not even going to wish your teacher a Happy New Year. Happy New Year, Leo said, his eyes dead. So is there anything else? Can I just call to chat? At that, Leo's temper flared. Old man, are you ever going to quit? Do you want me to come back to Ethelberg and beat you up when school starts? All right, since Ava is there too, you can both listen, Professor Miller said. He took a deep breath, and his tone became incredibly serious. Leo Evans and Ava Reed, I am now officially notifying you as your academic advisor. The university has accepted your applications for early graduation. As of today, you are no longer students of Ethelberg University. Congratulations, you've graduated. Clap, clap, clap. The sound of Professor Miller applauding came through the phone, as if he were genuinely happy for them. Now, Ava. They looked at each other in utter bewilderment. What was going on? Wait, Professor, stop clapping. Ava said urgently. When did we ever submit an application for early graduation? Was there a mistake? Huh, a mistake. Professor Miller sounded confused. I don't think so. Let me see. Yes, please put on your reading glasses and take a close look. Leo added quickly. For a moment, all they could hear was the rustling of papers on the other end. After a long pause, Professor Miller's voice came back. Anthony Reed. That's your father. Ava, correct? Ava paused. Yes. And David Evans. That's your father, Leo, correct? Leo also paused, a bad feeling creeping over him. Professor, don't tell me they were the ones who submitted the applications? Leo asked cautiously. That's right. Professor Miller said matter-of-factly. They both said they had your consent. Your thumbprints are even on the forms. Bullshit. We never put our thumbprints on anything. Professor, those thumbprints are fake. We didn't know anything about this. Ava said frantically. We're not graduating. Please retract the notice. What? Fake. Professor Miller sounded shocked. That can't be. Your parents wouldn't do something like that, would they? Oh, they absolutely would. Ava and Leo thought in unison. Leo now felt the urge to murder his own father. Ava, meanwhile, was finally understanding how Julian felt. With a father like Anthony Reed, it was a miracle he wasn't being hunted down by his son. Professor, just pretend this never happened. We'll come see you when we get back to campus, Leo said into the phone. But Professor Miller was having none of it. What do you two take the university for? A place you can come and go as you please? The school has already approved your applications. Even if you don't want to graduate, you're graduating. That's it. Your teacher wishes you both a happy graduation and a bright future. Bye-bye. Wait, Professor. Hold on. Both Leo and Ava started to speak, but Professor Miller had already hung up. When Leo tried calling back, the call went straight to voicemail. Leo and Ava looked at each other, at a complete loss. They had just graduated? Ava's face was flushed with anger. She pulled out her phone, found Anthony Reed's number, and called him. Leo did the same with his father. Unsurprisingly, both calls went unanswered. They lowered their phones simultaneously, a look of shared resignation in their eyes. With parents like theirs, sometimes they really did feel like killing someone. Vuot dovedo? Ava asked, looking at Leo helplessly. My college life isn't even half over. How can I be graduating? Leo's mouth twitched. Look on the bright side, he said, trying to console her. At least we don't have to take final exams, or do those group projects, or deal with all that annoying student government and club socializing. Hearing his words, Ava blinked, a thoughtful expression on her face. When he put it that way, it actually sounded pretty good. But the point was, her campus life was over, just like that. She was no longer a sweet, innocent college student. The thought made her even more resentful. She made a vow. When she got back, she was telling her mom. Her dad had gone way too far this time. Leo and Ava, after composing themselves, continued their stroll. Hey, how'd that vendor get back out here? Leo pushed his hood back slightly and immediately spotted the man who sold candied apples. Unlike before, when his stall was deserted, there was now a long line of people waiting to buy from him. Come on, come all. Get your strawberry candied apples. Leo, Evans's personal favorite, the man yelled into a megaphone. Special New Year's sale today. $15 a pop, limited quantities, first come, first served. When questioned by customers, the vendor swore with absolute certainty that Leo had bought candied apples from him on more than one occasion. The conviction in his eyes was so strong he could have been joining the BSO. Hearing this, Ava turned to Leo. Is he telling the truth? Did you really buy candied apples from him several times? Leo's eye twitched. That shameless son of... He gritted out. I haven't even settled the score with you for giving me those old strawberries. And now you're using my name to make money for yourself? You got some nerve. Leo rolled up his sleeves, ready to confront the man, but Ava quickly pulled him back. Let go, let it go. It's New Year's. It's not easy for anyone. Hearing the phrase, it's New Year's, Leo snorted, deciding the man was lucky he'd chosen this day. On any other day, he would have stolen all his candied apples and left him with nowhere to cry. Come on, let's go see what else there is, Ava said, pulling Leo away. Just as they were about to walk on, a small, clear voice called out. Big brother, is that you? Leo and Ava looked down. There was Hope, dressed in a thick red winter coat, slightly out of breath and looking up at Leo with hopeful eyes. Leo's mouth twitched. He looked at Hope, exasperated. Seriously, kid? I'm this bundled up, and you can still recognize me? Ava shot Leo a questioning look, and he quickly explained the story of how he'd met Hope. Ava then crouched down and looked at Hope gently. Hope, how did you know it was this big brother? Hope beamed with pride. Because I saw him roll up his sleeves just now. She pointed to the candied apple stall. I told that vendor earlier that if my big brother saw what you were doing, he would definitely hit you. So as soon as I saw him roll up his sleeves to hit the vendor, I knew it had to be him. She looked up and smiled. I'm smart, right? Leo nodded. Don't be so smart next time. It's bad for my image. Big sister, are you his wife? Hope asked, her eyes shining with admiration as she looked at Ava. You're so pretty. Ava's face lit up. She was growing more and more fond of this little girl. Hope, why did you run off again? A soft voice said. Hope turned to see a woman walking toward them. Mommy, look, he's the big brother I told you about. Hope's mother looked at Leo. Seeing his mask, she understood he didn't want to reveal his identity. She gave him a polite nod. Thank you for taking care of our Hope before. And thank you for saving Viridian. Leo raised an eyebrow and smiled. I just did what I wanted to do. The ones who really saved Viridian were all of you. He then crouched down and beckoned to Hope. Hope, come here. As Hope approached, Leo pulled a thick envelope of cash from his pocket, slipped it to her, and whispered, "Happy New Year. This is a New Year's gift for you. Use it to help your mom with her treatment, and buy yourself something nice to eat." Hope's mother saw the exchange and immediately tried to stop him. "No, we can't possibly accept this." "It's fine, take it," Leo said, his tone leaving no room for argument as he pressed the envelope into Hope's hand. "When Hope grows up, she can pay us back then." Hope's mother wanted to say more, but Leo just waved his hand and walked away with Ava. "Mommy, this." Hope held the envelope, looking up at her mother, unsure what to do. Her mother sighed and stroked her head. "Take it, but you must remember the kindness he showed us. You have to repay it in the future." Hope nodded firmly. "I will. I'll study hard, and when I grow up and become successful, I will definitely repay my big brother." Hearing this, Hope's mother watched Leo and Ava's retreating figures and gave a deep, grateful bow before leading her daughter away. "When did you prepare that money?" Ava asked, holding Leo's arm. "And where did you get it?" Leo blinked, suddenly at a loss for words. The money for Hope came from the $300,000. After being proven wrong about Leo's cooking skills, Ethan had been shamed into transferring the full amount back to Leo. Otherwise, knowing Leo, he never would have let Ethan off so easily. "Ah, that was all my savings," Leo said, putting on a pitiful expression. "Ava, you know all my assets are with you. How much could I possibly have left for myself?" Ava looked at him suspiciously. "Really? Of course, I swear on my honor. If you confess now, I can't forgive you," Ava said, staring at him intently. "But if I find out later that you lied to me?" Leo looked at her face, now very close to his, and swallowed hard. "I'm really not lying. It was a gamble. What if Ava never found out?" It was $300,000. Leo knew it was risky, but as long as he kept Ethan's mouth shut, Ava would never know. And even if she did find out later, he could just say he'd just gotten the money and hadn't had a chance to hand it over yet. Perfect. No flaws in the plan. Ava stared into his eyes, trying to tell if he was lying. Leo was starting to sweat under her gaze. "If you get any closer," he said quickly, "I'm going to kiss you." At that, Ava slowly pulled back. "Oomph. I'll believe you this time, I guess." Leo let out a silent sigh of relief. He made it through that crisis. Without realizing it, Leo and Ava had wandered into the central plaza of the area. A large crowd had gathered around a massive stage that had been set up in the middle, where some kind of event was taking place. "Come on, let's go see," Ava said excitedly, pulling Leo into the crowd. With Leo clearing the way, they easily squeezed through to the very front. Gong! The host on stage struck a large gong. Friends, tonight Viridian's annual trivia competition is about to begin," he announced. "For those who haven't signed up yet, now's your chance. The rules are the same as always. The final winner gets to take home our grand prize." The host stepped aside, revealing the prize behind him. The crowd gasped. The new trifold Apex X1 phone. "Whoa, I heard that phone costs as much as a car. The organizers are really splurging this year. I'm signing up. This is the closest I'll ever get to being rich." Leo's mouth twitched as he listened to them. "How much? That crappy phone costs as much as a car? Am I crazy or are you? You can't even put a case or a screen protector on that thing. Have the hobbies of rich people gotten this niche?" Leo and Ava exchanged a look, then both hurried over to the registration table. "Since we're here, might as well sign up and have some fun. It's definitely not because we're greedy for the phone." Soon, they each had a number card. Ava was number 98 and Leo was 99. After the 100th card was given out, registration closed. "Due to the limited spots, I'm sorry to the rest of you friends, but you'll have to try again next year," the host said consolingly. "But don't worry, we've prepared free fruit and snacks for everyone here as compensation. As for our 100 contestants, please come up on stage with your number cards." Everyone with a card made their way onto the stage, Leo and Ava among them. The stage was huge, easily accommodating all 100 people with room to spare. "All right, everyone, in front of your seats, you'll find a buzzer. The rules are simple. There will be 10 questions, each worth 1 point. After 10 questions, the contestant with the most points is the winner, and they will take home this brand new, sponsor-provided trifold Apex X1 phone. The host scanned the contestants. "If you have any questions, you can raise your hand now, and I'll answer them." No one raised a hand. If you couldn't understand rules that simple, you were probably out of the running already. Ava shot Leo a challenging look. 4 academic powerhouses like them. A trivia contest was no great challenge. She was eager to compete against him. "Leo," she whispered, "dare to make a bet?" Leo raised an eyebrow. "What kind of bet?" We'll see who gets more points, Ava said confidently. If I win, you have to go back and admit, in front of everyone, that you're not as smart as me. And what about you? Leo asked with a mischievous grin. What happens if you lose? What do you want to happen? I want to cook rice, Leo said without thinking. Cook what? Ava blinked, not getting it. Leo's mouth twitched. His mouth had gotten ahead of his brain and spoken his thoughts aloud. I mean, if you lose, when we get back to Ethelberg. He leaned in close to her ear and whispered a few sentences. Ava's face instantly turned bright red. She glared at him, mortified and angry. How dare you ask me to do something like that? Leo just blinked. If you don't want to, that's fine. It's not like you can beat me anyway. At that, the competitive fire in Ava's heart ignited. Oomph. It's a bet. Who's afraid of who? Leo smiled. This was a huge win. Even if he lost, all he'd lose was a little bit of face, and that wasn't worth much. But if he won, a grin spread across his face. Just thinking about it made his blood run a little hotter. All right, everyone, our competition officially begins now, the host announced. Pay attention to the buzzers in your hands. We only recognize the buzzers. Answering in any other way will not be counted. After one final reminder, he pulled a card from his pocket. Listen closely for the first question. Everyone focused, their ears perked, afraid to miss a single word. Ava's expression was especially serious. She couldn't beat Leo in exams, but a competition like this was another matter. These types of contests usually asked about a wide range of topics. You had to be a walking encyclopedia to answer, even one or two. And Ava had studied up on these things, so she was confident. But in the next second, the question the host read out loud left her completely stunned. Question 1. What is something where the people on top are excited and the people below are thrilled? Ava? Everyone. Was this a question they could even answer? You said it was a trivia contest, not this kind of trivia. Let me out. This isn't the bus to kindergarten. Many people's faces began to turn red. They hovered their hands over the buzzers, hesitating. If they answered, it would be social suicide. Bam! Just then, Leo decisively and quickly slammed his buzzer. Instantly, all eyes in the plaza turned to him. Seriously, dude? You're actually going to answer that? Ava whipped her head around to stare at him. All right, contestant number 99 is the first to buzz in, the host said. Don't worry, everyone. If he answers incorrectly, you will still have a chance to buzz in. The host looked at Leo with expectant eyes and repeated the question. Contestant 99, what is something where the people on top are excited and the people below are thrilled? Leo, his expression perfectly neutral, answered calmly, a concert. The host took a deep breath and boomed into the microphone. That is correct. Congratulations to our masked contestant, number 99, for scoring the first point. At that moment, everyone, both on stage and off, was completely numb. So this is how you guys play. Ava was completely stunned, staring blankly at Leo as the word concert echoed in her mind. What's wrong? Leo asked, confused. Why does everyone look so weird? And nothing. Ava's cheeks flushed red, and she turned her head away. She had to admit, when she first heard the question, her mind had gone straight to the gutter. This host was playing a completely different game. All right, that first question was just a warm-up. For our second question, you'll all need to grab your chance, the host announced, pulling out another card. Everyone, listen closely to question number 2. Here it is. There's something one person can't do, a group of people finds pointless, but is just right for 2. What is it? Hearing this, the audience was once again paralyzed. After the last question, they knew the answer probably wasn't what they were thinking. But, besides that, they couldn't think of anything else. What was this host even doing? BZT. The buzzer sounded again. All eyes turned to the source. Unsurprisingly, it was Leo. Seriously, dude? Could you be any slower? You're making the rest of us look like degenerates. All right, it's our contestant number 99 again. The host's voice was electric. Contestant 99, please give us your answer. Something one person can't do, a group finds pointless, but is perfect for 2? Leo said calmly. Whispering a secret. That is correct. The host pumped his fist. Congratulations to contestant 99 for earning another point. Seeing everyone staring at him, Leo looked puzzled. Have you guys never heard a brain teaser before? The crowd's faces twitched. It wasn't that they hadn't. It was that the host was driving the train so fast, their brains couldn't make the turn. Ava was starting to panic. This was not going according to her script at all. Leo, you're not allowed to buzz in for the next one. Ava threatened, grinding her teeth. Why? Leo asked innocently. I'm already going as slow as I can. Is it my fault you guys aren't buzzing in? Oomph. Ava snorted, her hand hovering over the buzzer, ready to pounce. Everyone, listen up for the third question. You're in the desert. dying of thirst. You have 2 glasses of water, a glass of poison, and a glass of urine. Which one do you drink? BZZT. The moment the host finished the last word, Ava slammed the buzzer without a second thought. All right, contestant 98, this lovely young lady. The host smiled at Ava. Please, tell us your answer. Ava's eyes darted around nervously. She hadn't even thought about the answer. The urine, she said, uncertain. You couldn't drink the poison. That was still death, right? I'm sorry, that is incorrect. The host shook his head. Does any other contestant want to buzz in? BZZT, Leo hit the buzzer again. Okay, buddy, that's enough. Any more of this, and we're reporting you for rigging the game. It's contestant 99 once more. The host gestured for Leo to answer. Leo shot Ava a strange look. Didn't he say there were 2 glasses of water? Why not just drink the water? What's with the obsession with urine? The comment made Ava's brain short-circuit. 2 glasses of water? Where did that come from? Congratulations to contestant 99. That is correct, the host beamed. Everyone, the question I just read was, you're in the desert, dying of thirst. You have 2 glasses of water, a glass of poison, and a glass of urine. Which one do you drink? So, in total, you had 4 glasses to choose from. Hearing this, the audience's expressions froze. You can play it like that? At the same time, they all sized up Leo. What kind of freakish brain did this guy have to catch that? My, what a surprising turn of events. Contestant 99 has already taken the lead with 3 points, the host announced. If he answers just 3 more questions correctly, he'll lock in his victory early. As soon as he said that, the way the crowd looked at Leo changed. They absolutely could not let this guy answer another question. However, dreams were beautiful, but reality was harsh. Because no matter how fast their hands were, they weren't faster than Leo's. He answered the next few questions in rapid succession. Question 4. Why do people in love prefer to be in dark places? Because love is blind. Leo's score +1. Question 5. There are 10 birds, and you shoot one. Why don't the other 9 fly away? Because they're ostriches. Leo's score +1. Question 6. Snow White is single. Name a cocktail. A 7 and 7. Leo's score +1. With 6 points, Leo's victory was secured. Time for his acceptance speech. This is pretty unexpected. I didn't think the competition would be this easy, Leo said, holding the trifold Apex X1 phone he just won, speaking into the microphone. Of course, I couldn't be standing here without the generous spirit of my fellow contestants. If they had managed to buzz in, I probably wouldn't have had a chance. The other contestants' fists clenched. Generous? We didn't let you win. We just couldn't beat you to the buzzer. Little did they know Leo had activated his enhanced physiology skill just to press the button a fraction of a second faster than them. At the same time, I'd like to thank my family, my parents, and all those who have silently supported me from behind the scenes. Leo delivered the speech with a deadpan expression. Finally, he turned his gaze to Ava. Of course, the person I have to thank the most is my girlfriend. I hope she remembers the promise she made me. Thank you, everyone. After Leo finished, only a smattering of applause broke the silence, but he didn't care. All he knew was that he had the phone, and Ava had lost the bet. Perfect. Off to the side, Ava twisted the hem of her shirt, watching Leo pose for photos with the event organizer. No, I have to think of a way to get out of that bet. Ava muttered to herself. I never said anything. Leo glanced at the distraught Ava and knew instantly that she was planning to Welsh. He snorted internally. He'd already anticipated this. That's why, when they'd made the bet, Leo had secretly started a voice recording. Once they were back in Ethelberg, no matter what she did, she wouldn't be able to escape his clutches. At that thought, the smile on Leo's face grew even wider. When Leo and Ava returned to the Croft estate, they found Kane and the others standing by the entrance. What are you guys doing out here? Leo asked. Kane turned to look at him. Then he stepped aside, revealing a massive firework. The New Year's countdown is about to start. We found this in the Croft's warehouse and figured we'd set it off. Does Kalen know you raided his family's warehouse? That's not the point, Kane said, waving his hand dismissively. Don't sweat the small stuff. Leo's mouth twitched. Weren't they afraid Kalen would murder them? Just as he had the thought, Kalen himself appeared. Whoa, where did this huge firework come from? Kalen asked, eyeing it with interest. We bought it, Kane and Ethan said in unison. Ava facepalmed. This group was a lost cause. Perfect. Let's get everyone out here. It's almost midnight. We can watch it together, Kalen said, pulling out his phone to have Corbin get everyone. I've never seen a firework this big before, Ava said, studying it curiously. She imagined it would look beautiful exploding in the night sky. Leo stared intently at the firework, too. In that moment, a bold idea sparked in his mind. Given, there was a large firework in front of him. Also given, Leo possessed the high explosive skill. Therefore, what would happen if Leo used his high explosive skill to light said firework? That damn curiosity of his was acting up again. Cain, setting off fireworks is dangerous work. Let me handle it, Leo said decisively. Cain looked up at him, puzzled. If you want to do it, just do it. What's with the sudden corporate takeover vibe? It's kind of gross. It's just a firework. What's so dangerous about it? He added, standing up and handing Leo the lighter. What do you know? This thing is basically dynamite, Leo said, taking the lighter. He glanced back at the others. You should all stand back. Hearing this, everyone shuffled back a few feet. Only Ethan and Cain didn't move. Ethan laughed. Leo, it's a firework. It shoots up. It's not going to hit us. Cain nodded in agreement. Leo looked at them silently. Fina, you can't reason with a ghost who wants to die. He crouched down, his back to the crowd. Is it midnight yet? Not yet. We'll count down for you, Ava said, her eyes fixed on her phone. What? Weren't they watching the ball drop on TV? Please. Get ready. 10, 9, 8. As Ava started the countdown, Leo activated both gale force and high explosive. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Everyone shouted in unison. Leo decisively lit the fuse. Boom! A colossal explosion rocked the neighborhood. What was that? Are the Crofts fighting again? From that sound, did Leo just blow up the Croft estate? Probably not. Maybe they're just setting off firecrackers. Your firecrackers sound like that? That was clearly a bomb. Half an hour later, Leo stood before the soot-covered group, his head hung in shame. Sorry, he mumbled reluctantly. But really, I don't think it was entirely my fault. What if the firework was just that powerful to begin with? Kalen stood in front of him, his face so dark it was impossible to tell if it was from anger or from the layer of ash. Thankfully, the firework was an actual C4. The damage was limited, leaving them all grimy and with a mouthful of dirt. If it had been a real bomb, they'd all be on a group tour of the afterlife by now. Ethan and Cain, who had been standing closest, had taken the brunt of the blast head-on. Hearing Leo's excuse, none of them bought it for a second. Their instincts told them Leo was behind this. Leo looked embarrassed. He'd thought it might be powerful, but he hadn't expected it to detonate on the spot. As the person closest to the explosion, he wasn't in much better shape. He was covered in black soot from head to toe, like a briquette. Even Ava was keeping her distance, having already run off to take a shower. Leo, be honest. You've been planning to kill us for a while, haven't you? Ethan said through gritted teeth. I knew something was up when you suddenly told Cain you wanted to light it. You've got something to hide, kid. Leo bristled. I'm warning you. Don't you dare slander me, he shot back. Who knows how long that thing was sitting in the Crofts' warehouse? It was probably expired. My warehouse? Kalen paused, turning to Ethan and Cain. Didn't you two say you bought it? We bought it from the warehouse. What the hell? We don't sell things out of our warehouse. Right? Which is why we didn't pay. Kalen finally understood. So you just stole it. From my family's warehouse. Seeing Kalen's attention shift, Leo quietly slipped away. After showering, he tried to go to Ava's room, but she refused to open the door. Defeated, Leo had no choice but to go back to his own room to sleep. 2 days later, it was time for the group to return to Ethelberg. Julia Reed sat on the high-speed train, gazing out the window with a nostalgic smile. It's been so long since I've been back to Ethelberg. I've really missed it. Across from her, Kalen and the Croft siblings wore expressions that were the polar opposite of Julia's, looking for all the world like they were being sent into exile. The rest of the Croft family and the Umbra would follow them to Ethelberg in waves. Ava leaned against Leo's shoulder. I haven't seen Reggie in so long, she murmured. I wonder if he's gotten fat. Leo chuckled. You left him so much cat food when you left. He's definitely put on weight. Cat food? What cat food? Ava's brow furrowed, and she looked up at Leo. We were all out of cat food before I left. Didn't I ask you to buy some? Leo blinked. Did you? You didn't buy any, did you? Hey, the stupid cat never told me, Leo said, his mouth twitching. It should be fine, right? We weren't gone that long. He's probably still alive, right? Ava let out a choked laugh, a mix of anger and disbelief. If Sir Reginald starved to death, she said in a low, dangerous voice, you can wait to be buried with him. With that, she turned her head away, giving him the silent treatment. Meanwhile, back at Leo's apartment, a small white fur ball lay weakly on the balcony, staring helplessly out the window. Meow. I should have just stayed astray. A few hours later, Leo and Ava finally rushed back to their apartment. Stupid cat, are you okay? Leo spotted Reggie immediately sprawled out on the balcony. He was too weak from hunger to even meow, instead fixing Leo with a glare that was loaded with profanity. Next to him was a completely empty bag of cat food. Reggie had assumed Leo would be back soon, so he hadn't bothered to ration his food, eating his fill every day. As the kibble dwindled and Leo still hadn't returned, Reggie realized the gravity of the situation. But it was too late. He'd made the remaining food last as long as possible, eating as little as he could. By the time Leo and Ava got back, he hadn't eaten in a full day. Quick, stupid cat. Leo tore open the bag of food he'd bought on the way, grabbed Reggie by the scruff of his neck, and dropped him right into the bag. Plunged into an ocean of kibble, Reggie opened his mouth and had only one thought: devour. He ate with a manic intensity. Seeing this, Leo breathed a sigh of relief. Good, he's still alive. We weren't too late. Reggie couldn't even be bothered to curse him. He was used to it by now. Ava kicked Leo. This is all your fault, she fumed. Reggie's lost so much weight. It's fine. He was so fat anyway. He needed to lose a few pounds, Leo replied without a shred of remorse. Just then, another person walked into their apartment. It was Julia Reed. So this is where you two live. Julia looked around, nodding in satisfaction. Nice. It's a little small, but it's cozy. Perfect for a newlywed couple. Both Leo and Ava froze. Mom, what are you talking about? Ava's cheeks burned. What newlyweds? Leo stood silently to the side. Still playing shy with me? Julia teased. Julian told me everything. You two are planning on getting your license as soon as you got back to Ethelberg, right? And once you have a marriage license, you're newlyweds, aren't you? Julia's smile was radiant. In fact, I've already picked out the perfect day for you. Tomorrow is the first day of spring. It symbolizes new beginnings. It's the most auspicious day to get your license. The words hit Ava like a ton of bricks. Tomorrow, a license? Did it have to be so rushed? And since when did the first day of spring have anything to do with marriage blessings? That made no sense. Ava shot a desperate look at Leo. What are you just standing there for? Say something. Leo caught her eye and gave her a look that said, I got this. He then turned to Julia. Annie, I think it would be even better if we went to City Hall tomorrow morning at 9:09 a.m. You know, for good luck, a long and happy life together. Julia's eyes lit up. Yes, that's perfect. Tomorrow morning it is. And Leo, stop calling me Annie. It makes us sound like strangers. Leo caught on immediately, his voice sweetening. Mom. Yes, Julia's smile grew even wider. Ava. Watching the two of them scheme, a single thought echoed in Ava's mind. The whole world is against me. She was clearly the adopted one. No one cared about her feelings. Leo, dear, I gave you the household documents in the car. I have to go check on things at the Reed estate, so I won't disturb you too. Remember, City Hall tomorrow. Leo smiled and waved. Okay, Mom, drive safe. Clang. The door closed, leaving Leo and Ava alone in the apartment. Well, them and a cat, who was busy with more important matters. When did you two plot this? Ava demanded, furious. She even gave you the papers? Leo quickly moved to hug her, his voice a soothing murmur. Honestly, I didn't expect it to be this fast either. It was all Mom's idea. The Reed family motto, whoever isn't present gets the blame. Little did Julia know she'd be the scapegoat today. Leo continued his persuasion. Besides, we were already planning on getting the license when we got back. The timing is just a little earlier. At this, Ava's expression softened slightly. Humph. If you want me to forgive you, fine, she said with a sniff. But that bet we made is off. Her true motive was finally revealed. She wanted to weasel out of the bet. She had lost the trivia competition a few days ago, and Leo's demand was for her to post a heartfelt, 300-word essay confessing her love for him in the Reed family group chat. It was social suicide, but it was very Leo. Tisk. Ava, now I have to lecture you, Leo said sternly. As a strong, upstanding woman, how can you not honor a bet? Then you can go to City Hall by yourself tomorrow. Wait, let's talk about this. Leo's expression instantly changed to a grin. As long as you're happy. Ava, we can call the bet off. Really? It's off. Of course. Great. Ava's face lit up. She whipped out her phone from behind her back and waved it in front of Leo. I recorded everything you just said. No takebacks. Leo's eye twitched. The little minx was getting cautious. Reggie poked his head out of the food bag, gave the two of them a look, and shook his head in resignation before diving back in for another mouthful. Since it was already evening when they got home, they ordered takeout and ate a simple meal before getting ready for bed, as if life had returned to normal. Inside her room, Ava was about to turn off the lights when Leo, dressed in pajamas, calmly opened the door and walked in. She glanced at him and sighed. shifting over to make space on the bed. She turned off the light and snuggled up against Leo, but just as she was about to fall asleep, she felt something was off. "Leo, what are you trying to do?" He leaned in close, whispering 2 words in her ear. "Cook rice." Then his lips crashed down on hers, possessive and firm. The clothes on her body vanished, stolen away by his manifest acquisition skill. "MMPH. We can't, Leo. We don't have any protection." "We do. Your mom gave me some today." "What?" Ava's eyes widened. She tried to push him away to process this, but her body felt like jelly, completely devoid of strength. "You, be gentle." After she uttered that last sentence, the button was pushed and there was no turning back. At that moment, the clock struck midnight. The first day of spring had arrived. The air was warm, and flowers were blooming. The rice was soft, fragrant, and sweet. The next day, 7 in the morning. Sunlight streamed through the window, illuminating Ava's fair skin. She rested her head on Leo's arm, her brow furrowed slightly, a weary look on her face. It was clear that last night's cooking session had exhausted her. The rice had very nearly been burnt. Leo held her gently. They were still asleep when the phone rang. Ava groaned, her eyes still closed. "So loud. Now, get the phone." Leo groggily opened his eyes and fumbled for the phone. It was Julia. "Leo, dear, are you 2 up yet?" "Whether you are or not, I'm already at City Hall. I want to see you both here before 8:30. Before Leo could even respond, Julia hung up. Leo blinked, let out a soft breath, and placed the phone on the nightstand. He lifted the covers and saw the faint red stains on the pink sheets, clearly visible. "Ava, time to get up," Leo said softly, patting her back. "Your mom's rushing us." Ava kept her eyes closed and shook her head slightly, murmuring, "I'm so tired. Can't we just go another day?" "Your mom will murder us." Leo sounded helpless. He gently squeezed her arm. "Come on, get up." Ava slowly opened her eyes and slapped his hand away. "Didn't you get enough of that last night?" She glared at him, a hint of resentment in her voice. "I told you I couldn't take any more, and you still kept going." As she spoke, she must have moved a certain part of her body. A sharp pain made her suck in a breath. Leo gave her a wicked grin. "Well, it's still early. How about we get lost?" Ava swatted at his chest. "You want to go again? I'll literally die. Just a little longer then." Leo kissed her comfortingly and held her close. "You can sleep for another half hour. I'll wake you up then." Hearing this, Ava immediately closed her eyes and was quickly asleep again. She was truly exhausted. She hadn't fallen asleep until almost 3 in the morning. However, the sweet bliss of sleeping in was always short-lived. Soon, Leo was waking her up again. "Time to get up, or your mom's going to call again." Ava reluctantly dragged herself out of bed, her brow still creased with a hint of pain. "Leo, help me get dressed." Normally, she might have asked him to leave while she changed. But after last night, their relationship had reached a new level of intimacy. All shyness had evaporated. Once dressed, Ava walked with a slightly awkward gait to the bathroom to get ready. Leo watched her, a pang of guilt hitting him. He really hadn't been able to control himself last night. Since they had to take pictures, Ava put on some rare light makeup. "Stupid cat, watch the house." The two of them caught a cab and headed straight for City Hall. "Oh, heading to City Hall? You two getting married today?" the driver asked, smiling at them through the rearview mirror. "You make a perfect couple. So well matched." Leo grinned. "Thanks, man. Hey, you my first fare of the day. This one's on the house. For good luck," the driver said cheerfully. Leo gave him a thumbs up. This was the warm, harmonious Ethelberg he knew. Back in Viridian City, a driver would probably be trying to jack up the price. Leo smiled at Ava. "I can't believe how much nicer the atmosphere in Ethelberg has gotten in such a short time," he said quietly. Ava rolled her eyes. "You ever think it's because you weren't here?" "Ah, Ava, you misunderstand me." "No, I think you misunderstand yourself." Chatting back and forth, they arrived at City Hall just before 8:30. Julia was already waiting at the entrance, holding a ticket with their number. Before getting out, Leo insisted on paying the driver, even adding a generous tip. "Whoa, look at all these people," Leo said, his mouth twitching as he looked at the long line outside the building. Were there really this many people getting married these days? Was there really something special about the first day of spring? "Leo, our line is over here," Julia called, waving him over. "That one is for divorces." "Now." "Ava." Okay, that made more sense. Compared to the divorce line, the marriage line was significantly shorter. "Should we wait?" Julia asked. "It's not 9:09 yet." Ava's eye twitched. "Mom, can you please not be so superstitious? What difference did the time make?" Julia didn't argue, simply leading them into the line. It didn't take long for their number to be called. The groom, Mr. Leo Evans. The bride, Ms. Ava Reed. The clerk checked their documents. You two are here to register for marriage, correct? Leo and Ava nodded in unison. After confirming their intentions, the clerk led them to the photo area. At Julia's insistence, they were both wearing white button-down shirts. Okay, look at the camera, big smiles. Don't blink. The photographer instructed, a small smile playing on his own lips. He couldn't help it. Leo and Ava were so ridiculously good-looking. Every shot was perfect. He hadn't had a session this easy in a long time. All right, you two were done. They walked over to the screen. Ava stared at her and Leo's marriage photo, a sweet, boundless smile spreading across her face. It wasn't until the clerk handed them the marriage license that Ava felt like she was waking from a dream. I'm really married to Leo. She looked at the little red booklet in her hand, then up at Leo. They shared a knowing smile. Julia, meanwhile, snatched both licenses and started frantically taking pictures of them on a table. This is huge news. Everyone needs to be notified, she declared, beaming. She immediately posted to her social media. The photo was of Leo and Ava's marriage license picture. The caption, "I'm finally getting a grandchild." Then, she started sending it individually to certain people, showing off with abandon. Finally, Julia opened a Reed family group chat. She sent the photo, then added a single line. "Party tonight." The Reed family group chat instantly exploded. Right now, in the Reed family group chat, holy shit, the young Miss and Mr. Leo got their license. Julia sent herself. It has to be real. OMG. I'm dying. They're finally married. What are you all standing around for? The boss said, we're celebrating tonight. Everyone get moving. The young Miss and Mr. Leo will be back soon. It's a holiday. Wait, didn't we just have a holiday? Why are we celebrating again? You upstairs, shut up. If you don't have a brain, just do the work. In an instant, the entire Reed estate mobilized. Kane immediately called Alex Young. Get your people over here. We've got something to celebrate. He was referring to the former BSO agents from Ethelberg. Though they now worked for Leo, they were still stationed in the city. Next, Kane called Ethan Sia. Joe, where are you? What do you think I am? Westlake City, obviously. Ethan snapped. When they were in Westlake City before, he and Kane had been reasonably polite to each other. But after everything that happened in Viridian, they both knew the other was no saint, so they dropped all pretense. Leo and Ava got their license today. Come to Ethelberg for a drink. Are you insane? They got married and you want me to come? So I can be the third wheel. Ethan cursed. Besides, I just got back to Westlake yesterday, and now you want me to fly to Ethelberg? Cut the crap. If you don't come, you're disrespecting me. Kane said bluntly. Huh, is your hair red? Do I need to give you face? Ethan shot back, completely unintimidated. After a pause, he added, Look, I'll send Leo $2,000, okay? I have a date with Lucia tonight. Without waiting for a reply, Ethan hung up. Meanwhile, as Leo and the others were heading to the Reed estate, he suddenly received a notification for a $2,000 transfer from Ethan. What the hell? Did Ethan's account get hacked? Leo accepted the money without hesitation and sent back a question mark. Ethan replied with a middle finger emoji. Weirdo, Leo muttered, sending him money for no reason. It had to be a trap, but he didn't have time to worry about that now. He was busy stuffing red envelopes. When they arrived at the Reed estate, he was going to make the atmosphere electric in the most lavish way possible. Even if each envelope only had a $10 bill inside, that wasn't important. It was the festive spirit that counted. Leo, can't you put a little more in there? Ava asked, holding his arm and resting her head on his shoulder. Watching him repeatedly stuff $10 bills into the envelopes was getting a little embarrassing. She was the boss's daughter, after all. $10 felt a bit cheap. Leo just kept stuffing envelopes. Shouldn't you be using a different name for me now? He whispered. Huh? Ava looked up, confused. What name? Leo pulled the little red booklet from his pocket and waved it in front of her. We're married now, a legally wedded couple. Naturally, you should be calling me husband, he finished, leaning in to whisper by her ear. Right, wifey? Ava's face instantly flushed. Why, you're delusional, she stammered, flustered. How could I possibly say something like that? How about just when we're alone? Not even then. Her tone was firm. Leo just smiled and said nothing. He'd deal with this little minx tonight. If she didn't change her tune by then, she wasn't getting any sleep. Soon, they arrived at the Reed estate. The moment they stepped out of the car, they both froze. Stretched across the main gate was a massive, eye-catching red banner. It read, Congratulations, Ava and Leo. We want grandbabies. You didn't need to be a genius to know this was Julia's handiwork. Mom, Ava shouted. Her face beat red as she glared at Julia. Have them take that banner down now. Did she have no shame? If it had said something about growing old together, she could have tolerated it. But grandbabies? Seeing Julia wasn't moving, Ava turned to the men standing guard at the gate. You guys take that down, or you'll have me to answer to. Her tone made them jump. They scrambled to get a ladder and take down the banner. Why take it down? It's so festive, Julia muttered under her breath. Then, the main doors of the estate burst open, and someone roared. The young Miss and Mr. Leo are back. A flood of people poured out. Come on, special red envelopes for everyone. Don't rush, one at a time. There's enough for all. Leo pulled out the pre-prepared envelopes and started handing them out. Thanks, Mr. Leo. Everyone who took one said with a grin. Mr. Leo, can we get a picture? And just like that, Leo and Ava became a tourist attraction. Everyone came up, got an envelope, and snapped a photo. It was like a red carpet premiere. It all ended with a massive group photo. The entire place was a sea of joy, filled with the sound of drums and firecrackers. Leo felt a little overwhelmed. If this was a reaction to getting a marriage license, what would the wedding be like? Just then his phone rang. It was his dad. You brat, you get your marriage license, and you don't even think to tell me? Dad, is it possible that I did call you, but you didn't answer? Leo said, exasperated. Still making excuses. That's enough, you old coot. Leo shot back. I haven't even gotten back at you for forcing me to graduate early. Why bring up ancient history? That was a few days ago. Young man, don't dwell on the past. You still haven't figured out how to live, son. Leo's fists clenched. Couldn't the system give him a skill to punch someone through a phone? Listen, your mother was furious when she heard the news, David Evans said, his tone turning serious. But I managed to calm her down. She told me to warn you. The license is one thing, but she must be at the wedding. Remember, that's a warning from your mother, not just a message. All right, message delivered. Bye. Wait, you old. Leo still had questions, but David had already hung up. That old coot, always hanging up. Wonder who he learned that from. Leo sighed, putting his phone away. He had no idea what his parents were so busy with in New York City. They were like missing persons. They always called him, but he could never reach them. Now, he heard his name and turned to see Dylan Miller's grinning face. Chloe Meng stood beside him. Kane had naturally invited them both. Dylan rushed over and slung an arm around Leo's neck. You've got some nerve, kid, he whispered. Getting married without a word. And what's this about you graduating early? Why couldn't I graduate early? Dylan's voice was full of grievance. The moment he heard Leo and Ava had graduated, he had called Professor Miller. All he got was a single sentence before the line went dead. With those garbage grades? You want to graduate early? I should be grateful I haven't put you on academic probation. Get lost. It had broken Dylan's heart. You think I wanted to graduate early? Leo looked at Dylan. Cherish your time on campus. It's a past that so many people dream of returning to. Dylan was stunned. Were those words really coming out of Leo's mouth? By the way, where are Mr. Warren and your sister? They're handling enrollment paperwork. We got in touch yesterday. That fast. Which school? Ethelberg Preparatory Academy. Leo paused. Ethelberg Prep. Isn't that where I used to go? Yep. Dylan nodded matter-of-factly. It has the best resources in Ethelberg. I wouldn't feel comfortable sending her anywhere else. I remember that place has pretty high score requirements. Well, it can get in. Who are you looking down on? Dylan scoffed. Do you have any idea what a genius my sister is? She was ranked #1 at Viridian High. What? Leo was shocked. He had no idea the little firecracker was that smart. Wait, then why was she in the arts program? Is she not allowed to have a hobby? Don't tell me Raina Croft's grades are also amazing. Isn't it obvious? Dylan shot him a look. She comes from a major family. She's had private tutors for every single subject. Of course her grades are good. She and Willa are pretty much neck and neck, which is why they can't stand each other. Leo's mouth twitched. That was definitely something he hadn't expected. A wave of despair washed over him. He had to fight tooth and nail just to study, while the children of the rich enjoyed private tutors and still had time for hobbies. One day, he'd bring these capitalists to their knees. Wait, wasn't he one of them now? Never mind. So, Raina went to Ethelberg Prep, too? Leo asked. Dylan nodded. Great. Both of them at Ethelberg Prep. He hoped the school would survive. Leo offered a moment of silence for the current principal. Just then, he got another call. It was Anthony Reed. You go have fun. I need to take this, Leo said. Dylan waved and went off to find Chloe. Hello, Mr. Reed. What's this, Mr. Reed? Call me Dad. Leo's eye twitched. Why didn't you call Ava? Heh, I'm trying to avoid her right now. You're self-aware, at least Leo thought. So, what can I do for you? Something big. A huge something. Anthony's voice was agitated. Son-in-law, I'm about to get myself killed in New York City. Come save me. What? Leo was taken aback. What happened to you? Don't ask. I was having too much fun and walked right into a trap, Anthony said flatly. I'll probably be fine for another day or two, but after that, I can't say. Leo's mouth twitched again. Mr. Reed, you're not trying to trick me into coming to New York, are you? My boy, do you really see me as that kind of person? Leo remained silent. But sometimes, in the world of adults, silence is an answer. Anthony tooted. I admit I've done some shady things in the past. But I swear on my honor, my situation right now is really dangerous, son-in-law. I can hold out for 2 or 3 more days, max. You need to get to New York and save me fast. If you're late, you'll be collecting your father-in-law's body. Ava will be heartbroken. She'll never forgive you. Hearing this, Leo rubbed his forehead, a dark look on his face. Fine, stop talking. I'll head to New York tomorrow, okay? Don't take the train. It's too slow. You won't even make it in time for my funeral, Anthony instructed. You have to fly. It's faster. And book first class. It shows you have status, you know. I know. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Wait. Anthony started, then stopped. After a long pause, he said, never mind. That's it, son-in-law. I'll be waiting for you in New York. You have to come. Before Anthony could finish, Leo hung up. Anthony stared at his phone. What's with everyone hanging up on me? He's just like his damn father. With that, he put the phone aside and took a deep breath. He was alone, lying on a bed in a small, dark room, smoking a cigarette and staring blankly at the ceiling. All around him were scattered, blood-soaked bandages and gauze. Anthony turned his head slightly to his left. The sleeve of his left arm lay empty and flat on the sheet, also drenched in blood. He let out a bitter, helpless laugh and sighed. Well, it's just one arm. As long as I'm alive, that's what matters. And of course that bastard David Evans is unreachable. I can only hope Leo gets here quick. In his current condition, he didn't dare go outside. With only one arm, his marksmanship was probably less than half of what it used to be. Going out now would be a suicide mission. He was about to close his eyes and get some rest when his phone vibrated. He glanced over. Caller ID, that bastard David. He answered, and David Evans's voice came through. Hey, you still alive? Yeah, why don't you wait until my funeral to call? Anthony scoffed. You got some nerve, David Evans. I'm over here fighting for my life, and you're out driving a taxi? David just chuckled. I was picking up Sterling, seeing what he's up to. Where are you now? If you're not far, I'll come rescue you. Anthony's tone turned mocking. Sure. I'm currently surrounded by the Gideon, Camille, and Saul factions. Come on over. David fell silent. After a long moment, he finally spoke. Anthony, my friend, I will make sure your funeral is a grand and glorious one. Go to hell, David. I knew you were unreliable. Good thing I called Leo, Anthony roared. If I had to depend on you, I'd have died 1,000 times over by now. You called Leo? David was stunned. You told him to come to New York? His voice rose in anger. Anthony Reed, why didn't you discuss something this big with me first? He's my son-in-law now. Why would I need to discuss anything with you? Anthony shot back. What? You're suddenly worried about him? No, you've completely screwed up my timing. David sounded agitated. I was planning on passing my wanted status off on him. You've brought him here so suddenly. I haven't even prepared the handoff. Anthony's face twitched. David Evans, I'm begging you to be a goddamn human being for once. Most people had deadbeat dads. He had a son-beating dad. Your whole family is sick. And you, David Evans, are the sickest of them all. TSK, I was going to come save you, but after all that yelling, I've changed my mind. Wait, Brother David, I was out of line just now. Anthony's tone flipped instantly. Please, bring your people and save me. I'm really at my limit here. What's the rush? David said nonchalantly. Anthony, I seem to recall you have a few bottles of some very fine, aged liquor hidden away, right? A sense of dread washed over Anthony. What liquor? I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't play dumb with me. Just one bottle. You agree, and I'll come get you. Anthony's fist clenched. You son of a bitch, David Evans, taking advantage of me like this. You just wait. I'll get my revenge. Fiend, get me out of here, and I'll give you a bottle. Great. I've got it on recording, so don't even think about backing out, David said smoothly. Stay put and wait for my signal. What signal? Before Anthony could finish his question, David hung up. Damn it. That kid is definitely his son. Anthony cursed. The sudden hang-up was identical. Well, nothing to do now but get some sleep. Anthony put his phone down and slowly closed his eyes, conserving his energy. Ethelberg City, the Reed estate. Leo put down his phone and turned to see Ava, Dylan, Kane, and Marco gathered around a table, playing poker. How had they managed to set up a game so quickly? Leo's eye twitched as he walked over. Flush. Sorry, young miss, I win again, Marco said with a grin, looking at the others. Straight flush. Leo arrived just in time to see Marco cleaning him out. Marco, you're a beast, Leo said, surprised. You must have played a lot before. Marco gave him a simple, honest smile. When I was undercover with the Phone Alliance, I used to manage one of their underground casinos. Leo raised an eyebrow. Marco was just too versatile. They really needed to nerf him next season. Leo, I lost everything. Ava looked up at him, her empty space on the table a testament to her defeat. As a novice, she never even stood a chance against a veteran like Marco. Leo smiled and ruffled her hair. Let me take over, he said softly. Ava nodded and moved to a small stool behind him to watch. Mister, Leo, if I win, please don't be mad, Marco said with his usual humble grin. Of course not. We're just having fun, Leo replied, his eyes narrowing. Dare to win against my wife. I'll make you cough up every penny you've won, plus interest. Marco might be good, but he didn't have a cheat code. Leo did. Low-tier skill, gambling mastery, combined with gale force. Leo was confident that, at this moment, even a master magician couldn't match the speed of his hands. Marco wouldn't see a thing. Normally, Leo wouldn't stoop to cheating in a friendly game like this. But his wife had been bullied. Full house. I win. 4 of a kind. In just a few hands, Leo had not only won back everything they had lost, but was now turning a profit. Marco was sweating, his expression more serious than ever. He knew Leo had to be using some kind of sleight of hand. There was no other way he could be this good. The problem was, even staring intently at Leo's hands, he couldn't spot anything unusual. Dylan and Kane were completely numb. This table is so dirty. It was the one thought they both shared. Whether Marco won or Leo won, they lost. In the next hand, Leo was dealt a royal flush right from the start. Dylan and Kane stood up and walked away without a word. Screw this. How is this any different from that poker game before? Leo should be banned from all future card games. And Marco too. Just then, Alex Young arrived with his men. Seeing the looks on Dylan's and Kane's faces, he asked, What's wrong? You two look like you just ate crap. They recounted the events of the poker game. Alex listened, then looked at them as if they were idiots. Are you two okay? You played cards with Leo? Where did you get so confident? However, Tank and the others behind him didn't believe it. They eagerly ran over to challenge Leo and Marco. A few minutes later, they were believers. Alex looked at their tear-streaked faces and shook his head with a sigh. You can't reason with a ghost who wants to die. A bunch of fools. They hadn't learned their lesson from playing with Leo at the Bureau, and they still dared to try again. This, he supposed, was the ultimate fate of a gambler. All, or nothing at all. That evening, the Reed estate hosted a grand feast, just like it was New Year's all over again. Eat up, everyone. I'll be sending out red envelopes in the group chat later. Julia, Reed announced with a magnificent wave of her hand. A chorus of voices roared back. Thank you, Julia. Leo quietly filled his plate, then leaned over to Ava. Wife, why do they call your mom Julia? He whispered. He had expected something like matriarch or Mrs. Reed. Calling her by her first name felt like he'd walked into a den of mobsters. Hearing his term of endearment, Ava sighed. They're just used to it, she explained. You know what my mom is like. She's always been the queen of the castle in our house. Leo blinked, then gave Ava a strange look. He remembered that the Reed family members privately called Ava Big Sis Ava. Like mother, like daughter, he supposed. After dinner, Leo asked Ava and Julia to join him in a private room. What is it, son-in-law? What's so mysterious? Julia asked curiously. Leo then recounted the phone call from Anthony Reed, telling them everything. My dad called you? Ava frowned. Why didn't he call me? Exactly, Julia chimed in. And why didn't he call me? Or Julian? In truth, Anthony had considered calling Julian. Although Julian was always trying to kill him, he knew his son wouldn't let him die in a situation like this. But when Anthony checked his contacts, he realized he didn't have Julian's number saved. So, out of desperation, he had called Leo. Hearing their complaints, Leo's eye twitched. Are you two missing the point? Given your relationship, shouldn't your first concern be whether he's in danger? Why are you so fixated on who he called? So, you're planning to go to New York tomorrow? Julia rubbed her forehead in thought, then made a decision. I'll have the Umbra send a team with you. No. Leo shook his head firmly. I'm going alone this time. You're going alone? Ava frowned. Yes. The situation in New York is complicated, and Sterling is there, Leo explained gently. I'll go first and scope things out. Once I have a better understanding of the situation, You guys can come over. Don't worry. I'm just going to check things out. If your dad is really in trouble, I'll get him out and come right back. After a moment's hesitation, Ava and Julia slowly nodded. They knew that with Leo's abilities, he probably wouldn't be in any real danger. Have you booked your ticket? Ava asked softly. Yeah, just bought it. The flight leaves tomorrow morning, Leo confirmed. I'll take you to the airport. Duh, you're my wife. Who else would take me? Ava blushed and gently pinched his side. You're impossible, she muttered. Julia looked on with an expression of someone who had just eaten her fill of lovey-dovey nonsense. Leo, dear, you must remember to prioritize your own safety, she said. I'm waiting for you to come back and give me a grandchild. Leo's mouth twitched. Don't worry, Mom. I will. I'll go pack some things for you, Ava said, turning to prepare a suitcase. Oh, no need. I'll just bring a backpack of C4. A backpack of C4? Have you forgotten you're getting on a plane? Ava shot him a glare over her shoulder. Are you trying to get shot by security as a terrorist? Leo was at a loss for words. It was pure habit. He used to take a C4 backpack everywhere. Even if he wasn't carrying it, he'd have Kane or the others transport it. He felt naked without it. So, Leo just watched as Ava stuffed a bunch of random things into a pink suitcase. Wait, I'm a grown man. I can't use a suitcase that color. What's wrong with it? Is there something wrong with my suitcase? Ava's eyes narrowed, her tone laced with a threat. It was as if she'd punch him if he dared say another word. As expected of big sis Ava, the pressure was immense. But soon, Leo noticed something else was off. Ava seemed to be packing way too much. Hold on, why am I bringing so many face masks? Leo couldn't help but ask. Duh, most of New York City recognizes that pretty face of yours now. You have to cover up. I get that, but why do the masks have a pink hairdryer pattern on them? What? You don't think the little piggies are cute? Never mind. In reality, Leo had his doppelganger skill and didn't need a mask. But he decided to keep his mouth shut. Otherwise, he was definitely getting hit. He knew Ava was upset. They had just gotten their marriage license, and they hadn't had much time to just be together before he was off to New York. Leo watched her packing for a moment, then crouched down, scooped her up in his arms, and stood. Hey, Ava yelped, looking up at him. What are you doing? Leo smiled and answered with a single word. You. He then carried her up the stairs toward their room. Realizing his intentions, Ava panicked. Everyone's still outside. It's fine. Your mom and Kane will handle them. But they'll get suspicious if we're not there. It's fine. We'll lock the door and say we went out. Clang. As he spoke, he kicked the door shut. But, MMPH. Leo reached out and turned off the light. After a long moment, their lips parted. Though it was pitch black, Leo's eyes could still make out the flush on Ava's cheeks and the dazed look in her eyes. It seemed Ava had let go of her reservations. She wrapped her arms around his neck. Don't be like you were last time, she whispered. Leo smiled and leaned close to her ear. That depends on what you call me. Ava knew instantly what he meant. Impossible. Don't even think about it, she said stubbornly. Leo didn't say another word. At times like this, actions were the most effective cure for a stubborn mouth. 2 hours later, a sound of surrender finally echoed through the room. Husband. The next day, on the way to the airport, where did you two run off to last night? Julia asked from the front seat, looking back at them curiously. I was going to have you both make an appearance and say a few words, but you were gone. At the question, Ava's face turned beet red. She said nothing, just shot a fierce glare at Leo. Mom, we just went out for a walk. We got back late, and you were all asleep, Leo lied smoothly. I see, Julia nodded. Soon, they arrived at the airport. Marco pulled the car to a stop. Mr. Leo, please take care, he said, turning around. I will, Leo nodded. As he was about to get out, he remembered something and turned to stare intently at Marco. What is it, Mr. Lau? Marco chuckled nervously. You're kind of creeping me out. In the next second, a knowing smile spread across Leo's face. Half an hour later, Marco stood dumbfounded in the airport terminal, holding a plane ticket for the same flight as Leo, his brain completely offline. Who am I? Where am I? Wasn't my only job today to drive Mr. Leo to the airport? Why am I going to New York City? Marco, you know I don't have a driver's license. It'll be a huge hassle in New York, Leo said, his arm slung around Marco's shoulders, his voice persuasive. And think about it. I'm not even taking Ava to New York, but I'm taking you. Why? Because I trust you. You, Marco, are the only one I can trust this much. I wouldn't even glance at a car driven by anyone else. For the rest of my life, I'll only ride in a car you're driving. Ava stood watching silently as Leo spun his web of manipulation. She saw Marco's expression shift from dazed to confused to gradually confident. She knew Leo had successfully brainwashed him. Marco, I have a mission for you, Ava said suddenly. I want you to report everything Leo does in New York to me. Understood. She was afraid Leo would get into trouble and hide it from her, so she wouldn't worry. With Marco there, he could be her eyes and ears. Well, Marco hesitated, glancing at Leo. Ava was basically asking him to spy on his boss. How could he dare? Ava saw his hesitation and narrowed her eyes. You'd better think carefully, she said, her voice dangerously low. If you piss off Leo, I can still protect you. If you piss me off, do you think Leo would dare to protect you? Marco wanted to cry. He was caught in the middle. He was just a simple driver. But what Ava said was true. If Leo was unhappy, he could complain to Ava. If Ava was unhappy, could he count on Leo to save him? Marco had a very clear understanding of the family power dynamic. Mr. Leo, I'm sorry. I have no choice, Marco said apologetically. Leo's eye twitched. Seriously, man? After all the bonding we've done, you're just going to betray me like that? He was suddenly regretting bringing Marco along. All right, you two should get going. It's time to board, Julius said, checking the time. Leo's gaze fell on Ava. Wait for me. Ava nodded forcefully, then stepped forward, wrapped her arms around his neck, and whispered with a hint of reluctance, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be right here waiting for you to come back. Husband. The word made Leo gulp audibly. He met Ava's mischievous eyes. The little minx was teasing him again, forcing down the rising heat inside him. Leo grabbed Marco and hurried toward security. And so, with Ava watching them go, Leo and Marco's figures slowly disappeared from view. Come on, let's head back, Julius said, ruffling Ava's hair. You know what they say, absence makes the heart grow fonder. And here you are, separated on the second day of your marriage. Ava rolled her eyes. You and Dad have been separated for years. I haven't seen you two getting any fonder. TCH, you're still young, what do you know? Julius smirked. Even when your father and I are apart, it's like we're on a honeymoon every day. That's disgusting, Ava said with a look of distaste. You brat. Julia swatted her playfully. The two of them chatted as they walked to the airport entrance, waiting for Rook and Knight to pick them up. After clearing security, Leo and Marco were waiting in the departure lounge when Leo got a call from his dad. Hey, so? Heard you're coming to New York. Did Mr. Reed tell you? How is he? He's fine, not dead yet. When do you land? Leo checked his ticket. In about 4 hours. 4 hours. That's not bad, David said. Listen up, I'll make this quick. Anthony is currently surrounded by the Gideon, Camille, and Saul factions. Because of what you did to their people in Viridian, they're now hunting down anyone connected to you in New York. That idiot Anthony got careless and walked right into their trap, which is why he called you for help. Hearing this, Leo's expression turned grim. 3 faces flashed in his mind. Gideon, Camille, and Saul. He never thought they would go after people connected to him. He should have eliminated them when he had the chance. No, even if he had killed those 3, it wouldn't have mattered. Given how those families operated, they would have just retaliated even more fiercely. If he truly wanted to eliminate the problem, he'd have to wipe out all 3 families. Send me the addresses of these 3 families, Leo said flatly. Yeah, I was just about to, David chuckled. I'm ready on my end, too. Once you get to New York, we move. I'll lead a team to rescue Anthony. You'll be in charge of hitting their home bases. The 3 families are all close to each other. Can you handle all 3 of them by yourself? A small smile played on Leo's lips. You should be asking if they can handle me. Attaboy. That's my son. Even better at bullshitting than I am. David paused, then added, you don't have to do too much. Just draw their attention. Once I get Anthony out, we pull back. That's the plan for now. We'll talk more when you land. Gotta go. David hung up. Leo slowly lowered his phone, his eyes as calm and flat as still water. Pull back. Not a chance. The great Leo Evans was coming to New York City. Naturally, everyone in the city needed to know. Leo Evans, had arrived. Anyone with a grudge was welcome to come find him, if they weren't afraid to die. Next chapter begins the New York arc. For hours later, New York City. David Evans dialed Leo's number. No answer. What's with this kid? David muttered, staring at his phone. Didn't he say 4 hours? Why was he completely off the grid? At this rate, it was questionable if Anthony Reed could even hold out. Meanwhile, on the flight from Ethelberg to New York. Mr. Leo, do you think Mr. Reed can hold on? Marco asked, looking at the leisurely lounging Leo with a hint of worry. Our flight's been delayed for over an hour. What's there to panic about? Leo said casually. It's force majeure, not something we can control. It's just an hour. They can handle it. Hearing this, Marco's anxiety slowly subsided, and he followed Leo's lead, relaxing. They were stuck on a plane anyway. Might as well enjoy the peace and quiet. Once they landed in New York, a moment of tranquility like this would be impossible. With that thought, Marco waved at a flight attendant. Hi, could I get a Coke? A Pepsi would be fine too. If not, a Fanta stick. Leo raised his hand and repeated the exact same order. The flight attendant paused, momentarily stunned. She'd worked in first class for years and had never encountered a drink order like that. But, maintaining her professional smile, she brought them everything they asked for. Thanks, they said politely, sipping their drinks and watching the scenery outside. The sunset was breathtakingly beautiful, glowing like it was very yellow. Meanwhile, upon learning that Leo had yet to arrive in New York, Anthony Reed was screaming into his phone. Damn it, can anyone in your damn family be reliable for once? You're blaming me? The kid's the one who said 4 hours. If you want to yell at someone, yell at him. David Evans smacked his lips nonchalantly. But since you yelled at my son, you're not allowed to yell at me anymore, okay? Anthony's eye twitched. He must have been an idiot to ever think these two would be his saviors. So, where are you now? Me? I'm nearby, of course, ready to swoop in and save you at any moment. Slurp. What was that sound? Huh? What sound? Slurp. You son of a bitch. You're eating ramen, aren't you? TSK, my son isn't here yet. I have to eat breakfast, don't I? You expect me to save you on an empty stomach? David sat in a small noodle shop, lecturing Anthony between bites. Anthony, do you have any conscience at all? This rescue mission is practically a suicide run. This might be the last bowl of ramen I ever eat in my life. If I die, I can't die as a hungry ghost. Hey, boss, can I get a fried egg with this? Anthony's fist clenched so tight his knuckles turned white. He should have just fought his way out earlier. He might have had a chance. Now, he had no choice but to rely on this hopelessly unreliable father-son duo. Ugh, I'm begging you guys, please hurry up. Otherwise, you'll really just be collecting my corpse. Why are you telling me? Go tell the pilot of Leo's plane. Anthony took a deep breath and hung up, unwilling to speak another word to David. At worst, he'd die. He would rather go out fighting than be talked to death by David Evans. And so, Anthony endured another long, agonizing hour. Every minute felt like a year. Not even high school classes had felt this torturous. At least back then, he could just drop out. Now, all he could do was wait. A little over an hour later, Leo and Marco finally landed in New York. After collecting their luggage, they walked to the airport exit, letting out simultaneous burps. They had practically filled up on soda on the plane. Leo checked his phone. Unsurprisingly, there were 3 missed calls from David Evans and 50 missed calls from Anthony Reed. Leo's mouth twitched. The most recent call was 3 minutes ago. He was probably still alive. He quickly called Anthony back. Anthony answered on the first ring. My dear ancestor, you finally answered my call. Anthony's voice was tinged with tears. If you hadn't answered, I was really going to lose it. Leo's eye twitched. Mr. Reed, calm down. My plane was delayed. I'm in New York now. Okay, good son-in-law, you have to save me quickly. Anthony nodded emphatically. Hold on, Mr. Reed, my dad calling. I need to take this. Hello? Hello? Anthony listened to the dial tone on the other end of the line, wanting to smash his phone. Damn it, if I get out of this alive, the first thing I'm doing is buying a ticket back to Ethelberg. Whoever wants this damn city can have it. I'm done playing. Anthony had given up. Whatever happened, happened. On the other end, Leo answered David's call. Hey, Dad. Brat, didn't you say 4 hours? The plane was delayed. What could I do? Cut the crap. Where are you now? The airport. Where else would I be? Grab a cab and go hit their home bases. Cause some trouble so I can make my move. Hold on, Leo interrupted. First, tell me where I can get some weapons. I came by plane. I don't have a single gun or explosive on me. How am I supposed to hit anything? David paused. At a time like this, where was he supposed to get explosives? Let me think. Okay, wait at the airport for a bit. I'll have your mother send someone over with a delivery. What else do you need? Tell me now. My mom. Leo was stunned for a moment, then rattled off a list. I need a backpack of C4, grenades would be best, and a sniper rifle. After Leo finished, David said calmly, Got it. Just wait patiently at the airport. He hung up and sent a message to Leo's mother, Carol Evans. Son's in NYC. Needs weapons. Send someone to the airport. After sending it, David hesitated, then sent another message to Anthony Reed. You'll have to wait a bit longer. Leo doesn't have any weapons. Message sent. David put down his phone and focused on eating the fried egg he'd just gotten. Meanwhile, Anthony Reed stared blankly at the message from David, calmly placed his phone aside, and let out a deep sigh. Let all burn. He was just so tired. At that moment, at the Gideon Initiative's estate in New York City, the party was in full swing. It was the 60th birthday of Grant Gideon, the family patriarch, and the Grand Hall was filled with representatives from every major and minor syndicate in the city. While not everyone could attend in person, each family had sent at least a few members to pay their respects and present gifts. Grant Gideon, his face wreathed in a practiced smile, moved through the crowd, greeting his guests. The birthday was just a pretext. The real purpose of a lavish affair was to strengthen alliances and deepen connections. It was a game of power, and this was the arena. Gideon trailed behind his father, his eyes constantly glancing at his phone. Suddenly, he leaned in close to his father's ear. "Dad, I just got word. Someone spotted a man near our perimeter around Anthony Reed. They think it might be David Evans." David Evans? Grant's smile tightened, his brow furrowing. "He's trying to rescue Anthony Reed? How many men does he have with him?" According to the report, it's just him, sitting in a diner, eating a patty melt." A patty melt? Yeah, and I think he added a fried egg." Grant's eye twitched. What the hell was David Evans playing at? Ignore him, Grant decided after a moment. No matter how skilled David Evans is, he can't break through the combined forces of our three families to save Anthony Reed. He paused, a new thought occurring to him. Send word to the Camille Syndicate and the Saul faction. Tell them to send more men. A predatory glint entered his eyes. This time, we might just be able to catch David Evans as well. "Yes, sir. I'll notify them immediately," Gideon said, nodding. He stepped into a quiet corner and relayed his father's orders, word for word. As he emerged, a voice called out to him. "Hey, Gideon." Gideon turned, his brow knitting in annoyance. "Dexter? Miles? What you two doing here?" "We came specifically to laugh at you, of course," Dexter Dang said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "I heard a teenager in Viridian sent you packing with your tail between your legs. I just had to come see the train wreck for myself." Miles Mo nodded in agreement. "And you lost an asset, too?" "The story's all over NYC. Everyone in our circle has a new name for you three now. The Three Stooges." He smirked. "Camille and Saul have been too embarrassed to show their faces lately, so we figured we'd just come see you." Gideon's voice dropped to a low growl. "Are you two looking for trouble?" What? Did we say something that wasn't true?" "You have no idea how dangerous that kid, Leo Evans, really is." "Ha ha. Miles, did you hear that? He's actually trying to defend himself." Dexter and Miles laughed openly, their mockery fanning the flames of Gideon's anger. If it weren't his father's birthday gala, he would have already thrown the first punch. "I'm not wasting my breath on you two. When you finally run into Leo Evans, you'll understand." Gideon stared them down. "Our three families have issued a warrant for him in NYC. He's on a blacklist. Isn't that enough to tell you how dangerous he is? He's barely 20 and already on the list. Not even Sterling managed that at his age." At the mention of Sterling, the smiles on Dexter's and Miles's faces faded slightly. The NYC blacklist was an institution established long ago by the city's major powers. It was eternally limited to 10 names, 10 individuals deemed a threat to the stability of the entire city. Anyone on the blacklist was marked for death by every syndicate in New York. Currently, the number 1 spot was occupied by Sterling, and the last name, number 10, was Leo Evans. "I'd say you're overreacting," Dexter scoffed. "He's a kid in his early 20s. How much trouble can he cause? I bet his name won't be on that list for long." Gideon gave them a long, meaningful look but said nothing more. Some lessons had to be learned the hard way. And with idiots like these at the helm, it was clear the Dang conglomerate and the MO group wouldn't be making any waves for the next 20 years. Meanwhile, at the NYC airport, Leo and Marco sat on a concrete barrier, bored, watching the traffic flow by. "Hey, fellas, need a ride?" A taxi pulled up beside them. "Up in. No funny business with the meter, no scenic routes. Fair price." Leo gave a deadpan wave of refusal. It was the 10th taxi they'd turned away, at least. The driver's smile vanished. He stomped on the gas and peeled away. "When is she going to get here?" Leo wondered aloud. Just then his phone buzzed. He pulled it out. An unknown number. He answered. A cool, crisp voice came through the line. "Hello, is this Leo Evans?" Who's this?" "Carol sent me with your supplies." "Where are you?" "I'm at the airport entrance." "Are you the one with the pink suitcase and the pink hairdryer-shaped face mask?" Leo desperately wanted to say no, but it was too late. A red Ferrari screeched to a halt in front of them. The driver's side door opened, and a woman with impossibly long legs and an air of effortless cool stepped out. Marco's jaw went slack. "Marco, wipe the drool off your chin," Leo said with disgust. "Have some self-control." Her legs are long, he thought, but not as pale as Avis. The woman strode toward them. "You must be Leo Evans," she said. "My name is Quinn Monroe. I work for your mother. She sent me." Leo's eye twitched. Why does that sound like the start of a bad joke? Marco scrambled to his feet, staring at Quinn like a puppy. "Ilu, Mies Monroe." I'm Marco." Quinn gave Marco a brief nod, then turned back to Leo. "Everything you asked for is in the car. Ready to go. You're coming with us?" "Yes. I'm a decent driver. Your mother told me to get you out if things go south." Leo glanced at Marco, then smiled. "Quinn, my friend Marco here is a pretty incredible driver himself." At that, Quinn finally gave Marco a second, more appraising look. Leo raised an eyebrow slightly. "Marco, this is the best I can do for you, buddy. The rest is up to you." The red Ferrari tore through the streets of New York City, Marco at the wheel, expertly weaving through traffic. Quinn, in the passenger seat, raised an eyebrow. "Your driving skills really are impressive," she said coolly. "Were you a professional racer?" Marco estammered. "Yeah, I used to be." "Can you drive anything else?" A playful glint appeared in Quinn's eyes. "Like an armored vehicle, for instance." The question caught both Marco and Leo off guard. "Quinn, were you in the military?" Leo asked. "Didn't your mother tell you?" Quinn glanced back at Leo, then shrugged. "Forget it. You'll find out eventually. Let's focus on the mission for now. Speaking of which, where's my mom? Why didn't she come herself?" "Carol's busy tracking down that missing asset." "The missing asset?" Leo's brow furrowed. "Can you tell me more?" Seeing they had some time before reaching the Gideon estate, Quinn began to explain. "A while back, the assets in NYC went berserk. Caused quite a stir. The major syndicates teamed up and managed to round them up, but one of them got away. We still haven't found it. And this one is different," she continued. "We think it might have developed a certain level of intelligence. It's learning, mimicking normal human behavior, which makes it almost impossible to track. Carol is dedicating all her resources to finding it, so she couldn't meet you." Leo listened, a thoughtful expression on his face. Marco suddenly asked, "Why do you think it has intelligence?" "The assets Leo and I have seen. They didn't exactly look like they were about to start writing poetry." Quinn gave Marco a sidelong glance. "At first, everyone thought the same way you do. We just assumed it was a stray that slipped through the cracks. That is, until the letters started arriving. A few weeks ago, several of the major families received a letter. Security footage showed a hooded figure leaving them on their doorsteps in the middle of the night before disappearing." "What do the letters say?" Leo asked, sensing this was the key. Quinn took a deep breath. Scrawled on the paper was a single, chilling sentence. Her voice dropped. "I am Nix. We are the new humanity." The temperature inside the car seemed to drop several degrees. "The missing asset wrote that?" Marco asked in disbelief. "The ones I saw couldn't talk, let alone write." Leo spoke up. "That means one of two things. Either this asset is a unique case, a fluke that somehow gained sentience, or all of them are capable of evolving." His tone grew grim. "And they're evolving fast." Quinn looked at Leo, surprised. Carol came to the same conclusion. "She thinks if we don't handle this, sooner or later, we're all finished." Leo didn't respond, sighing as he stared out the window. "Old man Marks, why'd you have to die so soon? You were a genius. If you were still around, you could probably whip up a couple of serums to turn these things back to normal. Easy." But Dr. Quentin Marks had never anticipated the appearance of the assets, never imagined his gene serum would have such devastating consequences. Scientific breakthroughs could change the world, that was certain. But whether for better or for worse, no one could ever say. It was a double-edged sword. Knowing Marks, though, even if he could do it all over again, he would have created the gene serum without hesitation. It was his life's work. Without it, there would be no panacea. It made Leo feel cynical. Life was like a cosmic joke. Some people like it salty, some like it sweet. Who cares? It's all just chaos soup anyway. Might as well have a Coke with ice. Even if the world's ending, you still gotta get your 8 hours. Worst case, you die and haunt the afterparty. It all boiled down to one thing. Life is pointless. Leo, when we get to the Gideon estate, you need to find a way to sneak in, plant the explosives, then get to a safe position to detonate them and cause a distraction. As they neared their destination, Quinn began laying out her plan. Carol had told her to let Leo do his thing, but after seeing the pink hairdryer mask, she found it very difficult to trust this profoundly unserious-looking person to handle the situation. Today is the Patriarch's birthday gala, so people from every faction will be there. The bigger the commotion, the better. Once the explosives go off, you pull out immediately and find a way to escape. We'll be your extraction. Quinn was still talking when Leo cut her off. "All right, Quinn, you just wait in the car. Leave the rest to me." With that, he slung a backpack full of grenades over his shoulder, grabbed 2 pistols, and turned to Marco. Marco, pull over. You got it. Marco executed a perfect drift, stopping the car smoothly at an intersection not far from the estate. Leo calmly reached for the door handle. Wait, hold on. Quinn stopped him. What's your plan? Leo looked at her, confused. Create a commotion, draw their attention. Isn't that the idea? What about the exit strategy? Why would I need an exit strategy? Leo's confusion deepened. You said it yourself, it's a party. All the major players are here. An opportunity like this to wipe the board clean is a gift. I'm more worried about them getting away. He turned back to Marco. Marco, keep an eye on the entrance. If you see any stragglers trying to escape, make sure you run them over. Marco nodded solemnly. Mission accepted. Quinn just stared, blinking. Are you too insane? You're going to take them all on by yourself. Marco piped up meekly. Don't worry, Quinn. Leo's got this. Quinn shot Marco a glare. How could she possibly not worry? When she turned her head again, Leo was gone. Huh? Where did he? Boom. Before Quinn could process it, a massive explosion ripped through the air. She mechanically turned her head. The main gate of the Gideon estate was completely engulfed in black smoke. Then, she heard Leo's voice echo through the chaos. Listen up, everyone inside. You are surrounded. Surrender now, and I might let you live. Otherwise, the only way out for you is in a body bag. Quinn stared blankly at the scene before her, her brain short-circuiting. It's over. It's all over. He just brazenly blew his way in through the front gate. He's a dead man. Relax, Quinn, Marco said nonchalantly. You should be more concerned about what to do after Leo blows this whole thing out of proportion. Quinn couldn't hear a word Marco was saying. She didn't know what to do. If Carol's son died here, she'd never forgive herself. At that thought, she threw open the car door and bolted, thinking that maybe, just maybe, she could still get Leo out of there. Leo, Quinn ran forward about to speak, but Leo cut her off with a raised hand. His eyes were fixed on the estate. Quinn, he said calmly, do me a favor and call my dad. Tell him I've started. With that, he took a slow step forward, crossing the threshold into the Gideon compound. You. Quinn stomped her foot in frustration, a gesture that drew Marco's rapt attention to her long legs. Fine. I don't care anymore. She fired off a quick text to David Evans, explaining the situation. Then, she squared her shoulders and followed Leo inside. Cough, cough. Who is it? Who dares to attack the Gideon initiative? Alert. All units on guard. Gideon rushed to his father's side, helping him up. Dad, are you all right? Cough. I'm Fine. Grant Gideon waved him off, his eyes blazing with fury. To so brazenly blow up the gate to my home. This is a declaration of war against the Gideon initiative. No matter who it is, they will not leave here alive today. They will pay the price. Gideon nodded and looked up, peering into the dissipating smoke. A terrible premonition crept into his heart. That audacious style, that tone of voice. No. It can't be. Gideon swallowed hard. If it was him, this was going to be a disaster. Please, don't let it be him. But as if in defiance of his silent prayers, a figure emerged from the smoke, and Leo's face came into full view. Gideon's heart sank to the pit of his stomach. Grant stared at the newcomer, a flicker of familiarity in his mind. Who are you? He demanded. Me? Leo chuckled. I thought I was pretty famous. Guess my brand recognition needs work. He cocked his head, a playful look in his eyes. Gideon, why don't you tell him who I am? All eyes swiveled to Gideon. He stared back, a mixture of fear and loathing on his face as he bit out the words. He is Leo Evans. The name hung in the air for a moment before recognition dawned on the crowd. Leo Evans? The one who's number 10 on the blacklist. David Evanson. Holy shit, he's actually an NYC, and he came straight for the Gideons. This guy has a death wish. He's even crazier than his father. Grant's gaze turned cold and hard. You are David Evans' son? Leo's expression was flat. I'm your daddy. Grant froze, the insult taking a second to register. When it did, his fist clenched so tightly his knuckles turned white. Seize him. I want to tear that smart mouth off his face with my bare hands. Yes, patriarch. Several large men charged forward to apprehend Leo. Gideon saw it coming. This is bad. Rushing Leo with bare hands was like volunteering for a meat grinder. Get back. Gideon shouted frantically. He's not normal. His words came too late. The men did indeed come back, but not on their own 2 feet. Leo had kicked them back. Thud, thud, thud. A series of sickening impacts echoed as the men slammed into the wall and crumpled to the ground, unconscious. TSK. You people have a very unique way of saying hello. Leo said, casually rolling his wrists. So, can we sit down and have a nice chat now? Quinn, who had just caught up, froze in place. What had just happened? She hadn't even seen Leo move, and those men had gone flying. Oomph. So you're Leo Evans. Dexter Dang suddenly stepped forward, looking Leo up and down with a sneer. You don't look like much. Daring to come here alone. You're nothing but a reckless fool. Miles Amo stepped up beside him and nodded. That's right. Those fancy moves just now prove you've got some skill, I guess. But against guns and explosives, you'll be completely helpless. As he spoke, a dozen black gun barrels swiveled to aim directly at Leo. But the look of panic they expected never came. Leo glanced at the two of them, unimpressed. I don't recognize you two. Are you Gideons? Heh, you don't have a right to know who we are. Because you're already a dead man. Leo's brow furrowed slightly. Was everyone in NYC this obnoxious? Quinn, find a place to hide. Before he even finished the sentence, Quinn had already ducked behind a large decorative pillar. Dexter raised his hand and brought it down sharply. Kill him. Bang, bang, bang. The sound of gunfire erupted as a dense volley of bullets tore through the air where Leo had been standing. But he was already gone. Huh? Where did he go? Everyone froze. The shooting stopped abruptly. They looked over and saw that the dozen men who had just opened fire were now lying on the ground, lifeless. They frantically scanned the area, trying to find Leo. Behind you. A calm voice spoke from directly behind Dexter. A cold sweat broke out on Dexter's back. He whipped around and came face to face with Leo's handsome, almost pretty face. Slap. A crisp, loud crack echoed through the hall as Leo's palm connected with Dexter's cheek, spinning the man in a full circle. Did I give you the impression I cared who you were? Leo asked with utter disdain. And here I was thinking I had no right to know. Do you really think I wanted to? Dexter clutched his face, dizzy and disoriented. You? Slap. You what? I'm asking you a question. Do you think your family name means something to me? Slap. I what? I told you to answer my question. Dexter cradled his swelling face on the verge of tears. I'm trying to answer. When the hell have you given me a chance to speak? Slap. 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 Inside the Gideon estate, the guests watched in stunned silence as Leo relentlessly slapped Dexter Dang. Quinn emerged from behind her cover, staring at the scene in disbelief. She rubbed her eyes. What has happened? Shouldn't Leo be full of holes by now? Why are the gunmen dead and why is he slapping someone? Wait a second, was that Dexter Dang? The recognition made her jaw drop even further. Nearby, Gideon gripped his father's arm tightly. Dad, he whispered urgently, we can't fight Leo. We have to release the assets. Grant Gideon's eyes were fixed on Leo, his expression grim. He glanced at the bodies of his men on the floor. After a 2-second hesitation, he gave a decisive nod. Release all 3 of them. Yes. Gideon turned and ran toward the back of the estate. Meanwhile, Miles M.O. was frozen with fear as he watched Dexter get beaten. Slap. Go on, tell me. What's your family name? Scare me with it. Dexter, holding his face, looked at Leo with utter misery. I'll tell you, okay. Slap. Too bad. I don't feel like hearing it anymore. Dexter wanted to die. How can anyone be so shameless? After landing one last slap, Leo turned and started walking toward Miles. Don't come over here. Miles's legs were trembling. I'm the sole heir of the M.O. group. If you kill me, my family will never let you go. Slap. Leo hit Miles across the face. Who asked? He said flatly. I just felt like slapping you. You got a problem with that? Miles clutched his face in pain. Now he finally understood what Dexter had been feeling. Leo was deliberately controlling his strength, inflicting maximum pain without knocking them unconscious. Leo Evans. Grant Gideon could no longer stand it. He roared at Leo. Do you really think you own New York City? This was his birthday gala. It was supposed to be an opportunity to strengthen his family's ties with the other syndicates. Now, not only had Leo ruined the entire event, but if this wasn't handled perfectly, the other families might turn on the Gideons. Not to mention the public humiliation of the Dang and M.O. heirs. Hearing Grant's voice, Leo slowly turned his head. Old man, I'll give you one chance. Call the rest of the Camille Syndicate and the Saul faction here. And call back your men who are surrounding Anthony Reed. If you don't, your Gideon initiative will be wiped out today. Insolent fool. Grant's face was dark. So you're here to save Anthony Reed. That's a pipe dream. Bang! Before Grant could finish, a gunshot rang out, and a bullet tore through his calf. Arg! Grant cried out and dropped to one knee, blood pouring from the wound. Protect the patriarch. His men rushed to shield him, staring fearfully at Leo. Leo lowered his pistol. You know what? I'm tired of talking to you. You're not worth my time. He shrugged. I'll just blow up your estate and then pay a visit to the Camille and Saul factions. It's all the same. I've changed my mind. I'm saving him, and all of you are going to die. His outrageously arrogant words finally ignited the fury of the Gideon men. Who the hell did he think he was? Standing near the entrance, Quinn stared at Leo's back, seeing two overlapping silhouettes. One was David Evans. The other was Sterling. This Leo, he talks exactly like Sterling, but his methods are just like David's. Quinn blinked. She no longer had any intention of stopping him. Instead, she found herself filled with a strange anticipation, wondering just how many more times this young man could shock her today. Roar! Just then, a deafening roar echoed through the compound. Everyone turned to see three enormous figures charging toward them from the distance. The guests from the other syndicates, who had been watching the show, turned pale. Damn it! Why did the Gideons release the assets? Is Grant Gideon insane? Using 3 assets just to deal with Leo Evans? Can he even control the situation? I'm getting out of here. If those things go berserk, we're all dead. A number of guests began quietly inching toward the exit. Quinn's face also went white. She yelled a warning. Leo, get out of here. Those are assets. You can't fight them. But Leo remained rooted to the spot, watching the 3 approaching figures with a look of detached interest. Did he freeze up? Why isn't he running? This is probably his first time seeing an asset. He must be scared stiff. Good. If Leo dies, this will be our family's revenge on David Evans. He's too young, too arrogant. In the next second, Leo's figure vanished again. With his transcendent physiology and Gale force skills stacked, Leo appeared in front of the assets in the blink of an eye. Without a moment's hesitation, he swung his leg, kicking one of them directly in the head. Boom! With a thunderous crash, the asset's head, along with its entire body, was sent flying over 50 feet away. The crowd stared, mouths agape. The other 2 assets skidded to a halt, frozen in place. What? What is this thing? When they let us out, nobody said we'd be fighting this monster. Quinn's jaw hung open. She stared at Leo in utter disbelief, only one thought running through her mind. Is Leo an asset too? Because this is just insane. Hey, aren't you two coming? Leo asked, looking at the 2 petrified assets. That's weird. Don't tell me you can feel fear. The thought gave him an idea. He decided to run an experiment. He walked over to the asset he'd kicked, grabbed it like a sack of potatoes, and dragged it back in front of the other 2. Then, right in front of them, he proceeded to beat the living daylights out of it. Thwack, thwack, thwack. Each punch landed with a sickening, meaty thud, like he was tenderizing a side of beef. He beat the asset until it was barely recognizable. As he did, he watched the other 2. With every punch he landed, they took a frightened step back. It confirmed his theory. The assets in NYC, like the one in Viridian, possessed basic human emotions. They were no longer the mindless beasts Spencer Foam had become. News of Leo's rampage at the Gideon estate spread like wildfire through the syndicates of New York City. Hey, did you hear what's happening at the Gideons? What? You mean Grant Gideon's 60th birthday party? What party? The place is about to be a war zone. Huh? What's going on? David Evans' son, Leo Evans, the guy who's number 10 on the blacklist, is in NYC. And the first thing he did was crash the Gideon Gala, vowing to wipe them out. That's not what I heard. I heard he's going to wipe out the Gideon, Camille, and Saul factions. What? Leo Evans is going to wipe out all the families in NYC. Leo Evans is going to destroy New York. Leo Evans. Soon, on every street corner in the city, the name on everyone's lips was Leo Evans. The stories grew more and more outrageous with each telling, none of them sticking to the facts. In response, many families dispatched runners to the scene to get reliable intelligence. This was David Evans' son, after all. Capturing him would be the ultimate leverage against David himself. The number of people hoping to seize this opportunity and catch Leo alive grew by the minute, all of them converging on the Gideon estate. Caldwell's Crossing, NYC. In the main hall, Conrad Caldwell, the family patriarch, sat opposite Sterling. A slip of paper with the latest report lay on the table between them. Leo shot Grant Gideon in the right leg. The Gideons have released 3 assets. Conrad slowly raised his teacup. 3 assets. Can this young man, Leo, handle that? He can, Sterling replied without a moment's hesitation. Oh, Conrad was surprised by his certainty. Why? Just because he's David Evans' son? Sterling chuckled and shook his head. Everyone in NYC, yourself included, sees Leo and slaps only one label on him. David Evans' son. But in my eyes, it's the exact opposite. To me, Leo Evans is far more important than David Evans. Sterling smiled faintly. Just watch. Before long, you won't even see David Evans anymore. A much greater uncertainty has just appeared on the board. Conrad was taken aback. He had never expected Sterling to hold Leo in such high regard. He stared into his teacup, silent for a long moment before speaking. I know you try to lock down the news about what happened in Viridian, but I heard some rumors. Leo's methods are certainly unpredictable, but at the end of the day, he's still just one man. Sterling smiled. Conrad, are you questioning my judgment? I am, Conrad said bluntly. Sterling, times have changed. The emergence of the assets means we can no longer view the world through the same old lens. Sterling nodded. I'm aware of that. But no matter how the times change, I'm still Sterling. He slowly extended a hand, as if closing his fist around the world itself. If I wished it, even the assets could be brought under my control. In fact, the moment I learned they had developed intelligence, I felt a flicker of delight. Because once something has a mind of its own, it can be influenced. It can be changed. Conrad's expression grew grave. Are you saying you want to control the assets? And why not? Sterling laughed. Not control, perhaps. Merely guide them according to my plans. Take Nyx, for example. If I could, I would very much like to have a chat with it, face to face. Conrad fell silent, sipping his tea. He felt he and Sterling were on completely different wavelengths. Most people were trying to avoid the assets at all costs, and here was Sterling, eager to sit down and have a conversation with one. Sterling took a sip of his tea, a thought suddenly occurring to him. By the way, about David Evans stealing your family heirloom. That matter is not up for negotiation. Conrad cut him off, waving a hand dismissively. I know you have a relationship with David, but it's impossible for me to just let him go. No, that's not what I mean, Sterling said, shaking his head. I'm merely offering a suggestion. He stole that bracelet as a gift for Leo's wife. If you insist on taking it back, you'll have their entire family causing trouble for you, especially Leo. If you trust me, you should just let it go. Consider it a favor done for Leo. Sterling offered a mysterious smile. And I'll tell you this, a favor from Leo is worth far more than one from me. Conrad's brow furrowed deeply. He didn't reject the idea outright. Instead, he took a slow sip of his tea before finally speaking. We'll discuss this later. Sterling smiled faintly. Conrad was a smart man. It wouldn't take him long to figure out the right move. Elsewhere, David Evans had received Quinn's message. He shoveled the last of his breakfast burrito into his mouth and began his own rescue operation. Putting on a pair of sunglasses, David stood up and snapped his fingers. Snap! In an instant, dozens of figures in black suits emerged from the shadows, surrounding him. David surveyed his men. All right, boys, here's the mission. Get Anthony out, and then we pull back. If we absolutely can't get him out, we still pull back. Someone's got to stay behind to plan his funeral. Bottom line, get him if we can, get out if we can't. Is that clear? A chorus of voices responded. Clear. Then move out. David waved his hand, and his men dispersed into the city to begin the operation. After they had gone, David pulled out his phone and made a call. Hey, have your people arrived yet? I'm getting a little nervous not seeing you. A deep voice answered from the other end. I've been in position for a while. If anything goes wrong, I'll step in. David nodded and hung up. He scoffed. You really think David Evans needs his son to rescue someone? Please. Without that kid, I'd still wipe the floor with these 3 syndicates. With his hands in his pockets, he casually strolled toward the enemy perimeter. As soon as David Evans appeared, lookouts from the various NYC syndicates sent word back to their families. David Evans has shown himself. He's going to try to rescue Anthony Reed. I knew it. He was never going to sit back and watch. Send men over there. We have to capture David this time. But Patriarch, all our men have been sent to the Gideon estate. Should we call them back? Damn it. The father and son are in completely different locations. They must have planned this to split our forces. Ignore David for now. He's too slippery. It might be a trap. Go to the Gideon estate and capture Leo first. The syndicate leaders quickly reached a consensus. Ignore David, capture Leo. A few sent teams to David's location, while others waited to see how things would play out. But the majority of forces were now converging on the Gideon estate. The first to arrive were the Camille Syndicate and the Saul faction, whose territories were closest. Upon receiving the news, they had hastily gathered their men and rushed over. They hadn't even entered the gate when their leader's voice boomed. Patriarch Gideon, we are here on our leader's orders to assist you in capturing Leo Evans. The man's voice trailed off as he stared, wide-eyed, at the scene before him. Thwack! 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 Leo was in the middle of beating an asset. Hearing the new arrivals, he stopped, stood up, and looked over. Well, well, if it isn't Camille and Saul, Leo said mockingly. You knew I was here, so you rushed over to die? I am dodged. Camille and Saul stared at the whimpering asset at Leo's feet and swallowed hard. Nobody had told them Leo was busy tenderizing an asset. Was the person who sent the intel getting paid at all? If they had known this, they never would have come. What kind of backup was this? Roar! Seizing the opportunity while Leo's back was turned, the other two assets let out a blood-curdling roar. The Gideon members held their breath. Now's the chance. Leo had left his back completely exposed. With the asset strength, a surprise attack might just work. But to everyone's astonishment, after roaring, the two assets spun around in perfect unison and bolted. They were running away. What? Grant Gideon stared in disbelief. The assets had actually fled? Had Leo's beatdown truly terrified them? Roar! The two assets worked in perfect harmony, brutally tearing apart anyone who stood in their path of escape. Against Leo, they were cowards. Against these people, who the hell are you? Leo noticed the commotion and glanced over his shoulder at the fleeing assets, but didn't move to stop them. He took a shallow breath. He had been keeping his skills active while fighting the asset, and it had taken a huge toll on his body. If he pushed himself into overload, he didn't know what might happen. Besides, more and more people were arriving. If he wanted to deal with them, he needed to conserve his strength. Seeing Leo do nothing, Grant Gideon panicked. Quick, go capture the assets. The previous rampage had made every syndicate in the city extremely sensitive about the assets. If two of his family's assets escaped, or worse, were lost, the Gideon initiative's standing in NYC would plummet. They would undoubtedly be targeted by the other syndicates. But that wasn't Grant's biggest fear. He was afraid of the jackals who would come to feast on their carcass. In today's NYC, assets were syndicate's ultimate trump card, a source of power and deterrence. Without that power, well, the city's resources were finite. Some players were bound to be eliminated. But this time, Gideon didn't obey his father's order. He and his men didn't move. Gideon, what are you waiting for? Grant roared. Gideon stared at the forces gathering from all sides, his expression shifting. After a long moment, he clenched his jaw and made a decision. Dad, Gideon said suddenly, I'm the sole heir to this family, right? Grant was taken aback by the question, but answered firmly, of course. You're my son. Only you can inherit the Gideon initiative. In that case, I'm making a decision today. Gideon locked eyes with his father. Dad, trust me. This is for the survival of our family. Grant looked into his son's eyes, and for the first time, saw not a boy, but a man. What are you planning to do? Gideon took a deep breath, turned around, and faced Leo. Leo Evans. No, Leo, Gideon said, each word deliberate. From this day forward, the Gideon Initiative pledges its loyalty to you. The word struck the crowd like a thunderbolt. Grant stared at his son in utter disbelief. What? What did you just say? Dad, trust me. This is the only way for our family to survive, Gideon said in a low voice. The assets are gone. Even if we manage to stop Leo today, we'll be decimated. Afterwards, do you really think the other syndicates, circling like vultures, will hesitate to tear us apart? Especially the Dengs and the Moes. They've been itching for a chance. I could see it in how Dexter and Miles treated me. And that's assuming we can even stop Leo. Gideon's voice was filled with despair. Dad, we don't have any other choice. We have to make this gamble. Grant opened his mouth, but no words came out. He couldn't refute a single point. Gideon, have you lost your mind? Dexter yelled from across the yard. You call yourself a syndicate heir? The syndicates of NYC will be ashamed of you. You're a disgrace. Ugh, I feel dirty just being associated with them. The shame of New York. We came all this way to help them, and they just surrender. Pathetic, truly pathetic. Faced with a barrage of insults, Gideon's mouth twisted in a bitter smile, but he offered no rebuttal. At this moment, perhaps only Camille and Saul could begin to understand his decision. Suddenly, amidst the cacophony of outrage, a gunshot rang out. Bang! A bullet slammed into Dexter's stomach, sending blood splattering. The crowd fell silent, their eyes turning to the shooter, Leo Evans. Leo tilted his head, looking at the pain-racked Dexter. I'm finding that your voice is really starting to get on my nerves, he said calmly. You want to lose it permanently? Dexter, the Deng conglomerate's men, who had already arrived, cried out in alarm. They rushed forward to shield their young master. Leo turned his gaze back to Gideon. You want the Gideon Initiative to follow me? Yes. To be my subordinates? That's right. Are you the one who calls the shots for your family? Gideon glanced at his father, hesitated for 2 seconds, then said decisively, I am the sole heir of the Gideon initiative. I can make this decision. As for those who are unwilling, they will no longer be considered part of the family. Leo was genuinely surprised. Gideon's decisiveness and his ability to read the situation were beyond his expectations. More importantly, the guy was incredibly adaptable. Hiding in the shadows, Quinn was completely dumbfounded. What is happening? The Gideon initiative just publicly swore fealty to Leo? Am I dreaming? Stay calm, Quinn. Marco suddenly appeared beside her. When it comes to our boss, Leo, no matter what happens, it's completely normal. You don't need to be so shocked. You'll get used to it. Quinn jumped, startled by his sudden appearance. Weren't you outside? How did you get in? So many people suddenly showed up outside. I couldn't handle it, so I ran in here, Marco said, scratching his head with a sheepish grin. In a situation like this, I don't feel safe unless I'm near the boss. Quinn's eye twitched, but she said nothing. This was a first for her, too. Carole is absolutely insane. Your family and I have quite a bit of bad blood between us, Leo said to Gideon with a smile. You think you can just pledge loyalty and call it a day? It's not that simple. Gideon's fists clenched. Name your price, he said through gritted teeth. Excellent. Leo nodded in satisfaction and held up 2 fingers. My terms are simple. First, the men your family sent to hunt my father-in-law cannot live. Gideon's face paled. The operation to capture Anthony Reed was a joint effort between 3 families. The Gideons had sent a significant number of men. Agreeing to this condition would not only gut their forces, but also alienate the remaining members. But if he refused, Leo would never accept their allegiance. And this was only the first condition. If he couldn't meet it, there would be no negotiation. Gideon knew that once he had started down this path, there was no turning back. From the moment he spoke those words, the other NYC syndicates would never accept the Gideons again. Fine. Gideon practically spat the word out. I accept that condition. Leo raised an eyebrow and extended a second finger. Good. Then, the second condition. He pointed a long arm toward Dexter Deng, who was being supported by his men, his face contorted in pain. Kill him. Gideon's expression changed drastically. Leo's face was a mask of indifference. Kill him today, and from this moment on, the Gideon initiative will be under my command. I, Leo Evans, will be your family's protector in New York City. Not far away, Dexter heard this. Clutching his bleeding stomach, he staggered to his feet. Gideon, you're not really going to kill me, are you? He said, his lips trembling as he leaned on one of his men. You don't actually believe what he's saying, do you? And even if it's true, do you think he can protect you? Gideon, listen to me. It's not too late to turn back. Dexter pleaded desperately. In the shadows, Miles M.O. saw how things were unfolding and began to quietly retreat. He was truly terrified. This situation was far beyond his ability to handle. Dexter was half dead already. If he didn't run now, when would he? Leo noticed Miles's subtle movements, but couldn't be bothered to stop him. It was only his first day in NYC. He had plenty of time to play with these airs later. The members of the other syndicates were as cunning as monkeys, watching the scene unfold in silence, none of them making a move. They had come to deal with Leo, but after witnessing his power, no one wanted to be the first to step forward. The NYC syndicates, while connected, were not a monolith. They had come under the banner of supporting the Gideons, but if the Gideons fell, they would be the first to pick the carcass clean. Gideon knew this all too well. His gaze locked onto Dexter. Seeing the look in Gideon's eyes, Dexter knew what was coming. No, cover my retreat. Gideon initiative on my command. Kill Dexter Deng. Their voices rang out at the same time, and both sides exploded into action. The compound descended into chaos. The other syndicates backed away, giving the 2 factions a wide berth to serve as their battlefield. At the same time, they were all sending messages back to their families. Gideon has turned. He sided with Leo Evans. Gideon is trying to kill Dexter Deng. The Gideon Initiative and the Deng conglomerate are at war. A flood of messages reached the various syndicate leaders, leaving them all utterly baffled. What the hell is going on? Weren't they supposed to be capturing Leo Evans? How did things get so twisted in such a short amount of time? Not even a soap opera has this many plot twists. Was the Gideon state really that exciting right now? The most stunned of all was the patriarch of the Deng family, Damien Deng. What the hell? Damien slammed his phone down on his desk. So, the Gideons defected, fine. But why the hell are they trying to kill my son? Patriarch, according to the report, it was one of Leo Evans' conditions. He demanded Gideon kill the young master in public to prove his loyalty. There were so many people there. Why the hell did he have to pick my son to prove his loyalty? Based on the reports, it's because the young master talked too much. What? Damien's eyes widened. What kind of damn reason is that? What are you standing there for? Get men to the Gideon estate and rescue my son. The subordinate stammered. We already sent men over to help capture Leo. Are you an idiot? Damien roared, his face red with rage. On their home turf, do you think the handful of men we sent are enough to do anything? Take everyone we have. Go. Now. Yes, sir. I'll take our forces and rescue the young master right away. After the man left, Damien frantically started making calls. Hello, Camille? You have to help my son. Hello, Saul? You have to help my son. News of Gideon's defection quickly reached David Evans. Amidst the sound of gunfire, David ducked behind cover and read the message on his phone, sinking into deep thought. The Gideons defected? They pledged loyalty to my son? What kind of bullshit is this? But the message was from Quinn, so he had no choice but to accept it as fact. This is freaking ridiculous, David grumbled. That kid, Gideon, is he really that spineless? Why didn't the Gideons ever surrender to me? I'm number 2 on the damn blacklist, and he's only number 10. The Gideons have no taste. Insulting. With that, David pulled a megaphone from his coat and bellowed, Cole, did you get the news? Your family has already surrendered to my son. What the hell are you still fighting for? Surrender to me instead. My son wants you dead, but if you join me, I can protect you. I'll even forgive you for hunting Anthony Reed. I'll make that decision for him. How about it, Cole? Let's talk. In the distance, the leader of the Gideon contingent, Cole Gideon, had a look on his face like he'd just eaten shit. He had also received the news. The family had abandoned them. Cole, don't let David Evans fool you. The leaders of the Camille and Saul forces, Cashin and Soren, yelled from nearby. The news might be fake. If you surrender now, you'll be falling right into their trap. Yeah, Cole, hold the line. Soren added. David can't break through. Once we find Anthony Reed, he's finished. Cole's fist clenched. After a long moment of hesitation, he roared, You can forget it, David Evans. I was born a Gideon, and I'll die a Gideon. Even if the family abandons me, I have no regrets. David was dumbfounded. Seriously, dude? Did the Gideons save your life, or something? Do you have to be such a bootlicker? You're making me look like the bad guy here. Infuriated, David shouted, Fine. You said it. I was going to play nice with you, but now the gloves are off. Don't blame me for calling in backup and outnumbering you. David pulled out his phone and dialed. Hello, Jensen? Get your ass in here and do something. Now, clean up these little shits, or you can rescue Anthony Reed yourself. I'm walking. Jensen sighed on the other end. I'm about to find Anthony. If I make a move now, my cover will be blown. I don't care if your cover is blown. Get your men out here and wipe them out. You can look for Anthony later, David snapped. This kid wants to die a Gideon ghost? I'm going to grant his wish. Ungrateful little bastard. I offer to take him in, and he looks down on me. I'm going to grind his bones to dust today. Jensen's eye twitched. Cole was just a kid. Why was David getting so worked up over him? Hurry up. If you don't show, I'm leaving. I'm coming. Damn it. If I ever agree to work with you again, I'll change my last name. Jensen grumbled and hung up. A few moments later, soldiers in military green fatigues swarmed the battlefield from all sides. What? What's happening? Where did these people come from? It's an ambush. Cole, Cashin, and Soren panicked. By the time they realized what was happening, they were completely surrounded. Countless gun barrels were pointed at them, ready to fire at the slightest provocation. The sound of footsteps approached, and a man slowly emerged from the ranks. Cole's pupils constricted. You're number 5 on the blacklist. Director Jensen. Jensen's eye twitched again. Don't call me that, he snapped. I'd like to know what I ever did in this city to get put on your damn list. Have I ever crossed any of you big families? Are you all getting cocky, just putting anyone you see on a list? Just then, David strolled out from behind his cover. Stop trying to act innocent, Jensen, he said. How many good guys do you know who end up on blacklist? We gotta be self-aware. David walked over and clapped him on the shoulder. Besides, you showed up and got ranked at number 5, even higher than my wife. In their eyes, you're rotten to the core. Jensen shot him a glare. What do you want to do with them? He asked coolly. Do what you want with the others, but the Gideons have to die. Especially that one named Cole. David stared daggers at him. I gave you a chance, and you didn't take it. Bet you regret it now, huh? A look of despair washed over Cole's face. I was just talking big. If you told me you had backup, I would have surrendered in a heartbeat. Sometimes, a single choice can change everything. Cole had made the wrong bet, and now he had to pay the price. Jensen, is your Bureau of Syndicate Oversight really going to side with David Evans? Cashin demanded. Jensen gave him a lazy glance. BSO? What BSO? With Sterling gone, the BSO has been gone for a long time. The man standing before you now is from the inspection unit. David stared at Jensen, aghast. The inspection unit? What the hell is that? You just changed one word and claimed it as your own? You look like such an upstanding guy. Jensen, how can you be so shameless? Cashin and Soren exchanged grim looks and quietly moved closer to Cole. Brother Cole, there's no other way, Cashin whispered. In this situation, we have to fight. He's right, Soren added. If we fight, we have a sliver of chance. Otherwise, we just wait to die. They stared at the enemies surrounding them, waiting for Cole's decision. A look of resolve appeared on Cole's face. He took a deep breath and then shouted at the top of his lungs. David Evans, is it too late to surrender now? Cashin. Soren. Seriously, dude? That's not what you were saying a minute ago. Weren't you born a Gideon? Die a Gideon ghost? We were just admiring your courage, and now you pull this? Do all you Gideons have betrayal in your blood? Cole paid them no mind, his eyes fixed on David, awaiting his response. As they say, he who adapts to the times is a wise man. And for the sake of survival, there was no shame. Hearing Cole's plea, David was momentarily stunned. Damn, this kid's shamelessness. I kind of like it. Jensen turned to David. What do you say? A weather vane like him. Are you sure you want to keep him alive? David chuckled. In this day and age, the ones who aren't weather vanes don't live very long. Everyone laughs at them, but when the wind blows, it doesn't bend with it. He paused. But you have a point. Maybe it's better to just kill him. Don't want him stabbing me in the back one day. Hearing this, a glint of steel flashed in Cole's eyes. In a move faster than lightning, he took 2 steps back, drew his pistol, and aimed it at Cashin and Soren. Bang! Bang! 2 shots rang out, the bullets striking both men squarely in the head. Before the stunned crowd, Cashin and Soren fell dead. Don't move. The surrounding soldiers immediately trained their weapons on Cole, ready to fire. Clatter! Cole dropped his gun, raising his hands high. He looked at David. Is this enough? I killed them. The Camille Syndicate and the Saul faction will never forgive me. There's no place left for me in New York. Except with you. I have nowhere else to go. Cole's gaze burned with intensity. Without your protection, I'm a dead man. This way, you don't have to worry about me betraying you, right? Hiss! David drew a sharp breath. This kid had some moves. Jensen, I've changed my mind. This kid is talented. I like him, David said, pointing at Cole. He might be useful for something big down the line. I'm keeping him. Jensen shot him a flat look. Don't get yourself killed playing these games. Yeah, you don't get it. My charisma will win him over, David said with a grin. Besides, the person who dares to betray me hasn't been born yet. What about the other Gideons? David hesitated for a moment, then looked at Cole. Can you control them? Cole nodded without a second's thought. Yes. He needed his own crew. Following David alone, he wouldn't feel secure. All right, keep them alive too, David decided. Then, he waved a dismissive hand. The leaders of the Camille and Saul crews are dead. Why keep the rest around? Finish them. As he spoke, gunfire erupted. Cole's face changed. They're just opening fire? I'm still in the middle of all this. Aren't they afraid of hitting me? But the result left him speechless. Each bullet fired by the inspection unit soldiers found its mark, striking a member of the Camille or Saul factions with lethal precision. There was no friendly fire. The skill of these men. Cole was shocked. He now realized that these so-called inspection unit soldiers were all expert sharpshooters. He knew that the old BSO had a team like this, but after the Manhattan incident, it was impossible for so many elites to still be around. Where had Jensen found these people? David had also noticed something. These guys are interesting, he said quietly. Where did they come from? Jensen gave him a sidelong glance and muttered 2 words. You guess. TSK. You've been hanging around Sterling too much. Is it possible that Sterling learned it from me? So you were the sly one all along. David looked surprised. You have such an honest face. I always thought you were one of those straight-laced types, so I never bothered with you. If you told me you were this cunning, I would have poached you from the BSO years ago. Jensen ignored him. Cole led his men over and bowed respectfully. Boss David. David nodded, satisfied. You probably have some men scattered around, searching for Anthony Reed, right? Cole immediately understood. Boss, I know their locations. He gestured with a slight bow. Boss, please follow me. David nodded again, shooting a smug look at Jensen. See? The people I choose are sharp. This kid's going places. A short while later, they had eliminated the remaining forces of the Camille and Saul factions and located Anthony Reed. Knock, knock, knock. Hearing the knock, Anthony Reed instantly became alert, raising his gun to aim at the door. Who is it? Your daddy. David's voice echoed. Bang. Anthony fired without hesitation, his face impassive. My dad's dead. God damn it. Anthony, you bastard. I risked my life to come rescue you, and you shoot at me. David yelled from outside. That last shot nearly took half my life. Is this how you treat your savior? Anthony scoffed. He was skilled enough to pinpoint a person by sound alone. That shot had been nowhere near David, off by a mile. Serves you right for having a big mouth. I'll ask you again, who are you? I'm your dead daddy. Bang. Anthony fired again. This time he didn't miss by so much. Tisich, no fun, David's voice came again. I'm coming in. After saying that, he pointed at Cole beside him and jutted his chin. You, open the door. Cole, didn't you just say you were opening the door? Why me all of a sudden? Jensen stood to the side, silent. Only those who knew Anthony Reed well understood that if he was holed up here, the place was undoubtedly littered with traps. Whoever opened that door was in for a bad time. Cole steeled himself and walked to the door. He placed a trembling hand on the knob. Patriarch Reed, it's Cole Gideon. I've surrendered to Boss David. We're on the same side now. Please don't shoot. We were wrong to hunt you down. Whatever punishment you have for me later, I'll accept it. Cole kept talking, laying it on thick, terrified he'd be gunned down the moment he opened the door. Finally, Anthony cut him off impatiently. Stop your damn rambling and get me out of here. Cole took a deep breath, summoned his courage, and pushed the door open. Patriarch Reed, Before he could finish, a small, round object dropped in front of him and rolled to a stop at his feet. Cole froze, staring down at the grenade. Huh? Cole stared dumbly at the grenade by his feet. He looked up into the room. It was empty. Anthony Reed was gone. The window was open. He had obviously climbed out. He glanced behind him. David, Jensen, and the others were already far away, flat on the ground. Oh, crap. Cole swore and spun around, sprinting away before diving to the ground himself. The moment he hit the dirt, the grenade exploded. Boom! The blast roared, shrapnel slicing through Cole's hair with a searing heat. He was about to piss his pants. Is this how you people operate? No wonder David didn't open the door himself. Can't we have a little trust between people? If he had been even a fraction of a second slower, he'd be seriously wounded, if not dead. TSK. Kid's got fast reflexes. Anthony Reed's voice came from a nearby corner. He emerged, shaking his head at Cole. Since you're not dead, I'll let the pass go. It was clearly a little payback for the earlier pursuit. If Cole had died, well, that was just bad luck. David wouldn't have said a word. Anthony then spotted Jensen. Well, you came to rescue me too. How surprising. Jensen replied flatly. If you were relying on David to save you, you might as well have killed yourself. The result would have been the same. David did not take that well. Hey, Jensen, I don't like the sound of that. I could have saved Anthony just fine without you, okay? Worst case, I would have just called my wife. Jensen sneered. Please, if it weren't for Carol, the other syndicates would have swarmed you by now. You really think she has time to back you up? Call her right now. If she doesn't shoo you out, I'll have my entire inspection unit join your crew. David flipped Jensen the bird, then took out his phone and sent a message to Leo. God, Anthony, you can pull back now. After sending it, David looked at Anthony's severed left hand and smirked. What happened to you? Cosplaying as Luke Skywalker? Your wife is no Princess Leia. Anthony cursed at him. Screw you. Can't you ever say anything decent? Let's get out of here. If the other syndicates show up, we'll be in trouble. The three of them quickly gathered their men and retreated, heading for a safe location to regroup. Caldwell's Crossing, NYC. Gideon and Cole both defected. Conrad Caldwell stared at the latest report, momentarily speechless. Even the news of Leo beating an asset hadn't shocked him this much. The Gideon family, they're a real piece of work, Conrad lamented. One follows Leo, the other follows David. It's like you can't get away from those two. Across from him, Sterling sipped his tea, completely unfazed. I've met Gideon. He's a smart kid. His choice doesn't surprise me. Conrad said, with Anthony Reed rescued, this farce should be over. Now we just have to see how Leo plans to wrap things up. Wrap things up? Sterling let out a sudden laugh. That kid has never known the meaning of the phrase. What do you mean? You think he's going to keep making trouble? Sterling smiled mysteriously. Rescuing Anthony Reed just unshackled Leo. Everything he did before was just to make a scene to draw attention. He wasn't sure if Anthony was safe, so he wouldn't go all out, wouldn't start a massacre, in case the other side decided to kill their hostage. But now that Anthony is safe, Leo is completely unrestrained. Sterling set down his teacup, leaned back on the sofa, and closed his eyes. Just wait and see, he murmured. The Real show is just beginning. Meanwhile, at the Gideon estate, Gideon was still leading his men in a fierce battle against the Deng conglomerate. But this was Gideon turf, and the Dengs had only sent a limited number of men, so they were being thoroughly suppressed. If this keeps up, the Dengs won't last much longer. Yeah, from the way Gideon is fighting, he might actually kill Dexter on the spot. What should we do? Who do we help? I don't know. We haven't gotten orders from our families yet. Let's just wait and see. The members of the other syndicates whispered among themselves, each with their own agenda. Some of them looked over at Leo, their expressions a mixture of awe and disbelief. He's brutal. And so shameless. Leo was sitting cross-legged on the unconscious asset, yawning with boredom. He held up his phone, the camera pointed at the distant battlefield. He was recording the entire fight. It was probably unnecessary, but he had nothing better to do. Once he was famous, he could release the footage to set the record straight. He had even thought of a title. Shocking. To survive, Gideon Ayer does this to Dexter Deng. It would definitely go viral. Leo was starting to think he could have a second career as a vlogger, exposing the dirty secrets of the syndicates. As he was recording, a notification popped up on his screen. Anthony is safe. You can pull back now. It was from his dad. Leo blinked. He saw the first part of the sentence and completely ignored the second. What? Pull back? You gotta be kidding me. I'm just starting to have fun. Leo suddenly stood up. Gideon, he shouted. You have 3 minutes. If Dexter Deng isn't dead by then, you know the consequences. Hearing this, Gideon's desperation surged. He had already burned all his bridges. Besides Leo, he had nowhere else to go. The same was true for his family. In an instant, the Gideon men fought with renewed fervor, especially Gideon himself, who threw himself into the fray with reckless abandon. The Deng forces, who were already on their last legs, couldn't withstand the sudden onslaught. Their defensive line was on the verge of collapsing. What do we do? Camille asked Saul in a hushed, urgent tone. Our families ordered us to help the Dengs buy some time, but this. She shot a fearful glance at Leo. The meaning was clear. With him there, who would dare to intervene? She and Saul certainly didn't, but their families had given them a direct order. Saul's expression was grave. He took a deep breath. One push, he said slowly. Camille stared at him. What do you mean? We help the Dengs with one push, and then we get the hell out of here. Part 2. Mandatory separators.